Hello, everyone. My name is Mark from the Misplay Podcast, and you're listening to EternalJourney, everyone's favorite Eternal podcast.
Welcome to EternalJourney, the podcast.
Greetings, all my knights and punts and ones out there. You are listening to EternalJourney, the podcast that talks about all things eternal with a focus on limited play. I'm your host, Jedi. This is episode 110 of the podcast, where we are doing our rare and legendary set review for Revelations. If you are tuning in for the first time, I do encourage you to check out our previous episode, 109. We went through all the commons and uncommons, which are what you are going to be seeing more of. That being said, as well, we are going to have a slight alibi or modification to two of the cards that we rated because they were changed recently in between these episodes. So we figured we'd stay up to date with that. And the person that is going to be going into that here in a moment, first off, is John Holio. Welcome on the show again, buddy.
Again, yes. Happy to be here as always.
And sitting across from him on the internet is our good friend Darth_Herman too. What's up, Alex?
What's up, guys? So stoked to be with you. How's it going?
Good, man.
It is going great. But very quickly before we begin, of course, you can catch the video version of this show where I will have every card that we were talking about up on the screen for your viewing pleasure on youtube.com/EternalJourney, or you can catch me streaming live every Friday and or Saturday, Sunday right now. Life is a little busy, so streaming during the week's a little rough, but twitch.tv/Jedi_EJ. And John and Alex hang out there too, so you can come over, kick it with us, and watch me draft and punt live, so you don't have to make the mistakes.
Always a good time.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
always when you're there.
Thanks.
Feel like you elevate the skill level of the stream, hands down. And then, of course, an ongoing thank you to all the great supporters on Twitch. There are people that sub to the channel and listen to the show. Really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much for all the ongoing support. Truly, I can't put it into words enough times that you guys are just absolutely fantastic. So thank you. With that, though, let's go ahead and almost jump right into it. John, why don't you go ahead and talk about the two cards that we would like to modify our grades now that they have actually changed the way they work out in game.
Okay, so I don't think we need to change our grade on Glen Sapper, because so that was last week. We said you have to discard a card to get the 6-cost ultimate on that card to pop off.
Can you what does it do?
It's a 1/1 for 1 that flies, and then for 6 you can discard your hand and then play, I think, 2 XX sludges equal to, I think, the number of units in your void.
Yes.
Right, so it's like an awesome late game effect. I don't think it changes our grade, but just they like literally changed how the card works between the preview and then this week. Like, we tested it this week, and they absolutely changed it to where you don't have to discard a card anymore. So you can have an empty hand, have 6 power available, have this guy in play, and then boom, you just get the free or the units that you paid for. So just wanted to let people know it was correct when we said it last week, but they changed it. So just a heads up. And then I think we do need to change our grade for this other card that was is like a draft buff for draft already, because the set just came out, and they've buffed this card Freight Asri, which I think we were saying was a little underpowered last week. So it's I think a 4-cost 2/4 flying now in Primal. Summon, you get an Aegis.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which,
yeah.
I mean, two attack is significantly better than 1 attack in the air. You can block a lot more things and kill them now instead of just essentially gumming up the board. The other thing to that, though, is that because people are playing that more now, since it's a completely feasible card, the Ransack card that we thought was kind of playable is actually just straight up horrible now, right? Because it's just pay to discard card, pop Aegis.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you can still get lucky, and not everyone's playing Primal, but like, you're seeing a huge uptick in like random face ages in your games, in your average game, which just means that card is just might as well discard a card for 2 power.
Mm-hmm.
It's like discard a card and the card that you just played. It's like so bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
Excellent.
I think Frayed Asri, I do think our grade changes on that, right? Like, I think we had it like a C minus.
I can check real quick. Yeah, but I think you're right. I think we had it fairly low. Let me see if I can get there. That shadow.
It's primal.
Sap. Yeah, I know. I was
Okay.
that's the 2-1. Where's the 1-4? Freight. We had it at a straight C minus. So I think it's probably. Yeah, I don't think it's a C plus. I think it's still
C,
just
right?
a C. Yeah. Yep.
Think
So
so.
my initial grade was correct. Just want to throw it out there.
Whatever.
All right. Sweet. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. One thing we want to cover is we do have a grading scale. What this does is kind of give you a shortcut, kind of bow on our decision, because you'll see us have some discussions and say we're all really high on a card, or we're all really low on a card, or just the fact that we're all over the place. And then we like to slap a grade on it to just kind of tell you where we sit on it overall in draft value, because it has happened sometimes where all three of us like, oh man, this card's amazing, and then we're all like, so what do we give? And we're like, C. And so it's easy to kind of, if you're going off of just our descriptors, that, oh man, this card is awesome, we'll go windmill slam it, and you know, there might be better cards in the pack. So we start off with our A's. These are the bombs. These are the cards that are going to be able to stabilize the board if you're behind, or even seal the deal and lock in the W when you are slightly ahead. Not necessarily the biggest things in development, but normally when they come down, they really tip the scales in your favor of taking down the game. Cards like Lord Steyre's Tower and the Speaking Circle.
Going down the grading scale takes us to the B's. Super efficient removal, powerful units. Examples such as Auto Tread and Martial Efficiency.
And then you got your C's, which are your Pawns of Limited, and most combat tricks, except for the most exceptional ones. Cards like Maveloft Elite and Replicated Sellsword from the last set.
All right, that takes us down to the D's, which are begrudgingly playable. Sometimes you have no other choice. You do have to play a couple of these sometimes. Examples of this are Stormhawk Battalion and D'Angelo Counterfeiter.
Then you've got your Fs, which are, straight up unplayable. Like, please don't play these in your draft decks if at all possible. Usually you'd run a additional power over these kind of cards, like Orin Taxation and Shadow Sea Rising. Yuck.
And then that takes us to a special grade, build-around grade. Cards that on their own are not powerful, but when you build around them and build synergies, they can become quite powerful. Cards such as Shoal Stirrings, Watchwing Support, and Call on Allies.
And then sometimes we give a market grade because we have markets in this game. But this set really toned down the market access, so I don't think we're giving a lot of these for our set review right now. But it's a card that you might go up in pick order, but it's not for your main deck. It's only for if you plan on having a market or already have one. So cards like Hookblade Infuser and Inferno Dance.
Thank you, gentlemen. As usual, guys, we're going to go ahead and start with Fire. We are going to be going down the order that they present Eternal as well as Eternal Warcry, so you can definitely follow along either way. So let's start off with Fire, and we have another cycle. We had the runes at common, and rare we have sketches. We are going to do these individual because they don't overlap as much because of the ability they offer. So I figured just evaluate them as we come across them will work out fine. And once again, we start off with Fire Sketch. This is a power where you gain fire, then depleted unless you have played a sigil this game. Then amplify 3, play an Inferno Tower. Of course, one thing to say about this is the fact that if it does come into play undepleted, you are able to use it to pay towards that amplify cost. And then Inferno Tower is a 3-cost relic. Once per turn, you may pay 3 to exhaust an enemy unit. All right, Alex, I think it's only fair that our first fire card goes to you, buddy. Where are you at on Fire Sketch?
Yeah, I think this is quite good. I love tacking on these amplify effects on these power, and this is exactly what a red deck wants to be doing. Late game, you can throw a few of the towers out there, and it just would really help you finish out the game. I like a B- for this power.
Yeah, that's exactly where I put it as well. B minus. It's power, so it doesn't cost you a slot in your deck, and then it just has some late game application. So I like it. That's where I put it as well. Even though I know this isn't a completely backbreaking ability, just the fact that you get it for free, I think is pretty solid. I mean, not quite free, but about as close to it as you can. John, what do you think?
I gave it the same grade, B minus. Yeah, powers with upside are great. I really like the flexibility on this too, because if the board's extra jammed up, like it's only amplify 3, so it's not hard to get 2 of these towers. And then it also has, because it's 3, it's not difficult on turn 6 to exactly what you want to do is play the tower and activate it, right? So I really
Nice,
I like this a lot.
Excellent. Nice. So Fire Sketch, you get a B minus. Next up, we have a card that I got to play, just not a lot. I do like the artwork as well, and I like how sometimes they keep reoccurring these cards. The Angelo Houndmaster is a 2/1 soldier for 2 fire. Quick draw, Valor. I like that. That seems already to be a decent set of stats for a 2-drop. And then combination of battle skills. And then when you attack with exactly 2 units, so this is the ongoing theme we're seeing here. They didn't really give it a battle skill kind of word, but when you attack with exactly 2 units, something will happen. You may pay power equal to the number of cards in your hand to play a 4/4 Hellhound that is attacking. So this is kind of something for you to continue to develop the board later on when you're running out of cards in your hand, or just to add to the board when you have nothing else to do that turn. There is obviously a bit of a stipulation there. I think it's well balanced at the fact that they have engaged so early in the game. You can't just start spitting out 4/4s when you have 4 or 5 cards in hand. One thing to remember, which I missed despite reading the card, is that it is attacking. So if you're planning on blocking with the Hellhound, you're going to have to wait a turn because it does come into play attacking. But just keep that in mind. The other thing is that it does say exactly 2 units, but does not say the Houndmaster has to be one of those units. So if the Houndmaster doesn't have good attacks or you have 2 flyers, you can still swing in the air or with the other units to create that 4/4. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So John, why don't you tell us a little bit about Houndmaster?
I think you've already said a lot about it. And I mean, I think this is a pretty fantastic card, right? It's just the downside is just that it's so easy to kill at just 1 health. And I mean, the quick draw and Valor means this is actually a pretty good enabler for itself, right? Like that's a pretty good attacker on a lot of boards, and a lot of fire decks are going to run like a Noah's Fury alongside this anyway. I mean, this thing has quick draw, but you know what I mean. Just any buff on a quick draw is good, right? And like, yeah, this ability, once it gets going, it's just so good. I gave this guy a B plus. Like, I think it's easy A range if it wasn't so easy to interact with.
Yeah, I actually gave it an A because I think the flexibility of it is what puts it over for me, right? You can play it as a 2-drop and you're perfectly happy with it. It's going to get in there. And when it can't attack, it could sit on the board and your opponent has to answer it. If not, they know the threat's coming. And then when you draw it late and it may not be in a position to attack, you could just play it and start cranking out 4/4s. So I actually did bump it up to A.
Okay.
Probably A minus. But I mean, I like this card and I was probably playing a little bit. I do agree with you 100% though. The X1 definitely makes it a little volatile, but I mean, like I said, I think you're perfectly okay when your 2-drop pulls decent removal from your opponent as well, if you can help it. Alex, what about you?
I was right there with the B plus because of what John said. I mean, it does let you kind of steamroll your opponent, so that's always a possibility with this card. But it's really fragile. I do like it a lot though, but I had it at a B plus.
Excellent. Sweet. So B plus for Angelo Houndmaster. I'm excited to play with this card again. I love the artwork on our next card here as far as with premium, because it actually looks like the flamethrower is actually shooting. It's awesome. This is Rocket Blaster. This is a 2/2 Sentinel for 2 fire. So right off the bat, 2/2 for 2. So easy to play. I like it. Pay 1 and exhaust Rocket Blaster and sacrifice a relic to deal 3 damage to the enemy. So I give this card a C plus, and I mean, baseline it's a C, 2/2 for 2, with upside that could come into play. It does say enemy, so you could pitch a relic to shoot somebody in the face if you need to. Obviously 3 damage is decent. You're getting you're actually just straight up playing torch. 3 damage for 1. You have to pay a relic, so there's that. I would consider it a little bit higher, but I haven't really seen too many, hey, you can sack me relics. And then the one relic in fire that we get is Blitzstone that kind of stacks itself. So it's a little awkward with this guy. You can play the Blitzstone, deal 2 damage, then sack it to this guy to deal 5 total. So that's the thing. But yeah, I have it as C+. Alex, what do you think?
My grade just changed as I was looking at my spreadsheet and someone on my thing there, I think. So I had it at a C, but it got changed to a C+. But if there were a few more relic synergies, I think it would be a little bit better. Red does have some like little relics that you would, be okay with sacrificing or whatever. I mean, 3 damage is no joke, really, into anything. That's it's nothing to scoff at. Mm-hmm. So I think if you can get that going, then it easily goes up. But I want to start it at a C.
Okay, all right, John. What about you?
I gave this guy a C+. Yeah, I mean, I just think that I don't think the support is really there, like you said, right now. But I do think they'll add some more in future iterations of the draft packs. And like occasionally you'll just randomly have a relic, and this upside will be so good in your game. So I feel bad just rating it just to C. So it's a C+ for me.
The cool thing about this too is whenever they're gonna put Waystone Gate back in the format, playing this on 2 or 3, and then Waystone Gating on 4, and then immediately sacking it sounds pretty sweet.
Oof.
Yeah, no joke, right? Or I mean, even if you're in Skycrag, the other one, sacking this, dealing 3 damage, drawing 3 cards. Ooh. All right, Rocket Blaster, you get a C+. Next up, we have Sanity Scorcher. This is a 2/2 mage soldier for 3 fire. Double damage and stealth, intrigue +2, or intrigue 2 +2/+2. So you can play this guy for 3 as a 2/2 double damage and stealth, or you can play this guy for 5 as a 4/4 double damage and stealth. Pretty solid. Ultimate, at the start of your turn, reveal Sanity Scorcher to play Mindfire. Just a reminder, Mindfire is exhaust to enemy units. All right, John, let's send it back over to you on Sanity Scorcher.
Yeah, I give this guy a B. I could go higher. Like I've seen it played a bunch now, and it's just overperformed most of the time. I think you basically always play it with the intrigue if you can help it, right? Yeah, it's just a solid, very solid 5-drop. It can really kill your opponent with just a little, one trick with some overwhelm or anything like that. Like this guy will do some damage. The only downside is like, if you for some reason have to run it out for 3, it's like pretty medium and it dies to everything. So I think it's just always going to be a 4/4 for 5 basically. So, but yeah, double damage is very powerful.
I had this guy in one draft, and yeah, pretty much unless I absolutely had to put a 3-drop down, I always just played it for 5 because it is a ridiculous amount of damage. I gave it a B-. Alex?
Yeah, I'm right there with both of you guys. I'm at a B-, just on its floor. A 4/4 double damage for 5 is just quite good. Yeah, B-.
Sweet. Sanity Scorcher, B-. Next up, Roar of Defiance is a spell for 4 fire. Gain power this turn equal to the highest attack among your units. You just don't. There's no reason that I'm aware of to play this card. Maybe if they add whatever which fire card is it that deals damage equal to power? Is it Flame Strike? Anyways, I digress. It's a rare anyway. So yeah, F. Does anyone have anything to say about this card?
F.
F for Boar of Defiance.
All right, nice. I like that. Yep, easy peasy. Let's move on to save time. Next up, Callus Triggerman is a 4/3 rogue for 5 fire. Quick draw, stealth, ultimate. At the start of your turn, reveal Callus Triggerman to play gun down or armed and dangerous. Alex, tell us about Callus Triggerman.
So I mean, this card, if it
Oh,
flips,
I'm sorry, my bad. Sorry, 1 second, I apologize. Gun down is deal 5 damage to an enemy unit without quick draw, and then armed and dangerous is play a 3+3/+3 weapon on 2 of your units. Yeah, sorry about that, Alex, my bad.
oh, no problem. Yeah, so if it flips, this is just absolute bonkers card. Like it could win you the game right there. Once again, and I have experienced this, I'm sure you guys have as well. People hate letting your stuff flip or whatever. And a 4/3 for 5 is like kind of on the fragile side for a stealth, so that's why it's not in the A range for me. But I gave it a B+.
Okay, fair. John, what about you?
I don't have a lot to add there. I mean, yeah, like the stats are a little weak for a 5-drop, but yeah, like you said, the ability is really worth going for. So it's like just super solid. It's just a B though for me.
Okay, fair enough. And I gave it an A- just because of I think you guys are right though. I gave it a little more credit because of quick draw, and then the fact that it has a removal spell or a huge buff to your team seems really solid. But yeah, I think the jig is up on 5 cost stealth units, and people are trying to flip them as much as possible. I mean, heck, I was running 3 detains in one of my decks, and I would pop stealth so fast on things. I was like, don't care, I'm just popping it. So I feel you. All right, so fair enough. I believe that is a B+ in the middle, because we have A-, B+, and B. So B+ for our Callus Triggerman, which I think is solid. I probably valued the gun down a little high.
See,
and I know
everyone's playing like a Noah's Fury, right? So it's like hilariously counterable in the format. So it's just kind of funny like that.
Yep. Hellfire
Valkyrie, how it like gives you, that's a 5 cost spell that's easy to cast, and then a really hard 6 cost spell. It's like yeah, like it's like you should take that every time, I think, if you have the units, right? Unless you win by killing the other unit.
Because you're making it a 7/6 quick draw, which is really good.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, it may fall into the win more category, right? If you're playing this guy and able to flip it, then you're kind of already winning. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. Next up is Hellfire Valkyrie. This is a 4/4 Valkyrie for 5 double fire, flying. Then when Hellfire Valkyrie attacks, deal 3 damage to an enemy or draw a card and reduce its cost by 3 this turn. At the end of your turn, discard it. So yeah, this card, I just straight up gave her an A. Like, I mean, we've talked about it in the common uncommon. A 4/4 flyer for 5 is great. Yeah, it's double fire, but by turn 5 or 6, you're gonna have it. I think that's not an issue at all. So you're already good, just baseline. And then this is anything but flavor text. Dealing 3 damage, we talked about it earlier, where you're paying essentially some setup value to deal 3 damage, and we were kind of good on it. This is just straight up giving you 3 damage, period. Yes, you have to attack with her, but not many things are going to tussle with a 4/4 flyer, and the 3 damage can get rid of a flyer, so they can't even double block her very well. And then if you don't have targets, like for whatever reason you don't want to do 7 to the opponent's face, or maybe you need an answer for their bomb, you know, you get to draw a card, and you can easily attack with her first for the most part and still have power. Let's say you keep up a combat trick to keep her alive in combat for whatever reason. Well, I mean, they reduce the cost of a card you draw by 3. So in most cases, you're still going to be able to play it. And if it's power, you go play it regardless. But if it is a card that you don't want, well, you didn't want it to draw it off the top of your deck anyways, you get to pitch it. So I like everything about her. So I gave her a straight up A. John.
Man, I don't think there's anything to add. It's a straight A for me as well.
Alex?
Easy A. Yep.
So, all right. So Hellfire Valkyrie, you get an A. Hopefully I get to play her at some point, but I did get to play with our next card, and not to toot my own horn, but that is my first 7-0 for the format, and man, she just rocked it. This is Azrog Street Breaker. She is a 6/4 giant rogue for 6 double fire. And you know, we've seen those stats before, but this is the icing on the cake here. When you attack with exactly 2 units, like we've seen before, deal 4 damage to an enemy. So you can go face or units or yourself for whatever reason, or even Azrog if you want to, for bragging rights or style points. And then entomb, the top 2 units of your deck get +4 attack and charge. Yeah, she's just fantastic. You play her on 6, you get to attack with 2 units and kill something. I mean, 4 damage kills a lot of things in this format. And then the few things that it doesn't kill, you can either ping their face with it, or you could just ping the big thing. And then if they choose to block your smaller units, then they still trade up on it. And it clears the way for her to attack. And then sometimes you're okay just attacking with her and letting your opponent get rid of her, because you're giving +8 attack and charge to the top of your deck, which is extremely powerful. So they're going to burn some resources to get rid of her, and then they have to worry about what the next 2 things in your deck are going to be. Heaven forbid they're your 5 or 6 drops, because even putting this on your 2 drops is pretty powerful. If it's on a flyer, it's just busted. I mean, she does so much work. And then yeah, sometimes you can just sit back there and just chill, be like, cool, I'm just gonna sit here, and every time I have some good attacks, yeah, it's just, I can't speak enough about it. Like, I know I'm hyping her up. I give her a straight up A, but like I said, 7-0, and I didn't even break a sweat. Like, every time I drew her, the game was just over one way or another, and I didn't care whether my opponent killed her or not half the time as well. So yeah, Alex.
Yeah, man, you said a lot. There you go. It's a great card.
John?
What grade, Alex?
Oh, A-.
A-? That's what I gave it as well. Just because it's like, you know, it's just a little slower, and like it's sitting next to the Hellfire, which I think if that's an A, then that's an A-. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. So A- for Azrog Street Breaker.
Like, John's like, what grade, dude?
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm hoping you were with me. Nice.
Oh, thanks, bro.
I just want to be right.
You have 7-0 bias, buddy. 7-0 bias. No, it's really good though. Really good.
I mean, I did have Linax in the deck as well, so I think 5 wins went to Azrog and 2 wins went to Linax.
There you go.
Pretty sure. But I do want to give credit where credit's due. It wasn't one of those things where like I drew her one game. Like every time she came down, I was just like, oh yeah, I feel good. I guess you're right though. It didn't help that chat was like super high on her as well. Next up, we have Doomsday Assembly. This is a 7 triple fire relic. Your units deal double damage. When you or one of your units deals damage, you get +1 power this turn. Amplify 1, play a 1/1 ticking grenadin. And for those of you that may not remember, ticking grenadins are the 1/1 grenadins that when they entomb, deal 3 damage to the enemy player. And of course, they have double damage, which means they would actually do 6 when they die. I just gave this card a D. You have to have you actually, John, go ahead, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the effect on this is extremely powerful, right? And so like the cost is what's really bringing this down more than anything. Like, I think if your deck is a late game like board stally deck, you could main deck this. Like, otherwise, I feel like it's just a market card for me. Like, I don't think I would just play this in a random deck, like, because most of my decks don't want to go to 7 pounds. Like, that's a lot. And I mean, you have to have a board, and it's got, yeah. It does have this amplify for 8. Lol. I mean, that's a really good ability, but that's like just so expensive. And the 3 fire means you can't splash it. Like, you gotta, and if you're that deep in fire, odds are that you're a more aggressive deck. So I think there's like that whole identity crisis issue. So I think it's more of a constructed card, but I have already seen someone try and play this in draft. I don't think it went great for him. So like, I'm cool with the D. I was all over the place with my rating here. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think this feels like a very 5 or 6 power format, to be honest with you. I can't think of too many reasons to go up to 7. And yeah, so that's where I'm at. I feel like really the biggest thing we see in the format are the populous controllers or whatever, the 6/6 Valors for 6. So
I think at 7, it's like know the truth. And I think if you have a board, I think Know the Truth will win the game better than Doomsday Assembly.
True. Yeah, good point. Yeah, and that wins the turn you play it. This card, you have to have a board state and good attacks to win the turn you play it. So Alex,
so I tried this card for science, right? And I wanted to report back to you guys. And I put it in a Praxis deck that had like 3 of those guys that ramp you 1, and like one of the 1/4 that flips and ramps you out of power as well. And like if you have the effect out there, it's like it's game winning, basically. But it costs 7, and even ramping the 7 is hard. So I mean, it's in the C range for me, just because it worked a couple of times. But I fully understand where your guys' D is from, and I'm not opposed to giving it a D grade. But I think the card does have a home in certain decks.
Okay.
So did you purposely build your deck to kind of slow the game down and get you to the late game?
What I did was, I guess, like try to be wide when I got to the late game, I guess. And it did let me amplify, and even just one stupid Grenadin at double damage is super annoying, and like can be the swing of the game right there, but it's really hard to get an amplify out, and you don't really want to hold it in your hand. You kind of just want to get the effect out there, so it's like awkward in that way, but it's it plays better than the 7 cost seems it would, at least in my experience so far.
Okay, no, I mean, that's why sometimes we have to just play cards to see how it worked out.
I would have
never made that guess
in any deck. No, I don't just throw it in any deck, right? It's like you have to have a little help to get to 7 for sure.
One thing as well is it does say your units deal double damage, so you can't exactly equip like a maul and swing for a ton of damage yourself, or play whatever the damage spell is right now that I'm drawing a blank on, something like Blitzstone or whatever. All right, so John, do you want to go D+ or C- for Doomsday Assembly?
I'm cool with the C- because Alex has science out for us. I think I'm down for that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, sweet. Doomsday Assembly, you get a C-. Next up is Pivotal Moment. This is another 7 cost. I guess that's why they have that Roar. You play Roar of Defiance to get you up to these big spells, I guess. Lol. 7 double fire spell. When one of your units hits the enemy player this turn, draw a card. It is free, completely free this turn. Discard it at the end of your turn. I gave this card a C- just because I don't know if it's a win more. It is 7, but the cards you get, you could play every card you draw for the most part, right? I don't know. It could be. I don't know. It could be. I don't know. It says draw a card and the cards are free, so I couldn't give it that low of a grade, but it is 7 and you want to be able to get some good attacks in. But then again, when you attack with a 1/1, your opponent has like a 3/3, they might be like, So I don't know. John, you like drawing cards. Where are you at on Pivotal Moment?
I hate 7 cost fire cards, so I give it an F. I just said nope. Like I don't think I'm playing this ever.
All right, cool.
Like you described it well, but like the real downside here is like it's just slow, so like you have to play this before combat because of the wording and everything.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. So you can't even bluff anything. You're right.
That's a big downside as well.
Yeah. So this is like the only deck I could see this really going in is like maybe a Skycrag deck, right? Where you have a bunch of flyers where you can draw maybe 2-3 cards off of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I have this, there's a chance I just play it for some fun, but I don't think it's like a great draft card. Like,
Alex,
I gave it an F with the saying, I don't think this is playable.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll go. I was already questioning my grade, and you guys both went F, so we'll go Pivotal Moment. You get an F. I'm cool with that. And that's fire. So some highs, some lows, pretty rare. I like it. I think they have some really good cards that we're excited about, and some pretty low cards that we don't want to play, which is pretty standard when it comes to the rare and legendary set review. These cards are very, niche or very constructive playable versus just busted in draft. So, All right, let's go right into time, starting off with Time Sketch. This is gain time influence, depleted unless you have played a time sigil, or a sigil, sorry, not time, just a sigil this game. Then amplify 4, play a training camp. And the training camp is a 4-cost relic. Once per turn, you may pay 4 to play a 2/1 soldier. Same thing, gave it another B-. Yes, making 2/1s are not very exciting, but when you have nothing else to do with your power, just making another chump blocker or another unit that you can behold the truth with, or just kind of stack blocks, and then time does get the combat check that gives the unit deadly. So yeah, and once again, it's free, so I give it a B-. John?
I gave this one a C+. I don't know. I just think like it's just kind of medium. The card that's kind of similar to this that's been in prior draft formats, like that card has always underperformed for me for the most part, and this is like basically that. I mean, it's still just a free roll card, etc. So it's still pretty good. It's still C+ for me, but
Fair enough. Alex?
I'm at a B. I love that you can make more of them late game. You know, I've had opponents concede on the spot when I made two in one turn, and they're going to get 2/1s every turn. It's like they can attack for free. Yeah, I'm at a B. I mean, these cards are great.
All right, so B- for Time Sketch. Next up, Thunder Fist Striker. Sweet premium artwork. Is a 2/2 soldier for 2 time. Valor. And then when I guess we haven't explained it. I should have done it with the Houndmaster. But Valor means it's about new battle skill this set, where every time a unit blocks this unit, it gets a +1/+1 for each unit. So if just one unit blocks it, it's a +1/+1. If 2 units block it in a double black kind of scenario, then it gets a +2/+2, etc., etc. It's only until end of turn. And then when Thunder Fist Striker hits the enemy player, she gets +2/+2 until the end of your next turn. So of course she'll play her on turn 2, swing in. Your opponent doesn't have a 3/3 to block or a 3/1, they'll let it through, and then the following turn she'll attack us 4/4. That still has Valor, so she can get bumped to a 5. Not bad. It does not stack because it is until end of turn, so at the highest she can only make herself a 4/4. But once again, 2/2 for 2 with upside seems sweet. We've seen Ursa Squadron do a lot of work being a 2/2 with Valor. Granted, the Warcry is definitely a lot better, but so yeah, C+ for Thunder Fist Striker for me. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I gave it slightly notch higher, B-. It's a good aggressive 2-drop in yellow that like stays aggressive because you don't want to block the 4/4 later. I mean, the next turn, and 2/2 Valors can continue attacking in a board surprisingly. So I gave it a B-, but I'm not far off from you.
Okay. John?
yeah, I'm the low tiebreaker. I had a C+, but I mean, I was very hard pressed to pick one for this. Like ultimately, all it takes is like any block to stop the ability, right? And then it's just a 2/2 Valor. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just a C+ for me at the end of the day, I think.
Yeah, and then counterintuitive, this is a 2/2 with upside, but it's a 2/2 with upside early game versus late game, right? Late game, she's just still a 2/2 because unlikely to get through. So
yeah, bad top deck for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. So C+ for Thunder Fist Striker. I don't know why I keep messing that up. All right, so I got really lucky and unlucky at the same time because I went up against this next card and somehow I managed to still pull it off by the skin of my teeth, but I was in a very rough position. And then I got this card in Forge and just absolutely demolished the computer, the AI with this card. This is Dashing Scoundrel. Is a 2/2 Bard Rogue. First time we've seen Bard in the game, I believe. I could be wrong though. Maybe
it's not the first time.
Is the guitar guy Angelo something Bard?
I know there's like a Bard, an Oni Bard for sure.
Oh yeah, you're right. I know, and I can't think of off the top of my head, but you are correct.
Yeah.
Anywho, is a 2/2 for 3 double time charge, which is interesting. But then your attacking units have deadly. Couple of things to clarify is that yes, he gives himself a deadly, and no, he does not need to attack to give the rest of your units deadly, and it is deadly only on attacking, so anything you leave back on defense will not have deadly. Yeah, that's about it. This card is awesome. It is very difficult to play against. It just makes blocking so much more difficult for your opponent, because especially on Valor units where they may have to double block and they know they're going to lose both guys. And granted, he's a 2/2, so he's not exactly the most sturdiest thing. But I mean, once again, we've talked about it a couple times on the show, whenever you're able to have one of your lower, cheaper cards require removal from your opponent, it puts you in a pretty decent spot. It's not completely backbreaking, because obviously on defense, this guy is bad. So I don't think it's super great, but once again, being able to play on both sides of the board with this guy, it has made gameplay pretty interesting. So I gave him a B-, because I do think that the game warps around this guy being in play, and you kind of have to adjust your strategy one way or another. So take that for what it's worth. John, where are you at on Dashing Scoundrel?
I gave it a B- as well. Yeah, like that effect is very real in any average draft game. The one thing to like watch out for is you can open yourself up to like a super bad attack, like if it gets killed mid combat, right? And you were expecting everything to trade, and then suddenly all of your things just get wrecked. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Very good point. Yeah, very good point.
But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like it's quite good, and it's a B- for me.
It makes your bigger units just absolutely horrible, because then they have to double block to get it off the board, and you know it's going to trade with everything.
And if you can have, Overwhelm on the board, we all know how good Deadly plus Overwhelm is.
For those of you that don't know the way it works, Overwhelm deals the amount of damage necessary to kill the unit to the unit, and then everything else rolls over to hit the opponent's face. Well, your unit has Deadly. It only requires to deal 1 damage to kill it. So for example, a 6/6 with Deadly and Overwhelm will only have to deal 1 damage to the unit blocking it. The other 5 will roll over to hit your opponent, regardless of the health of the unit blocking. Alex, where are you at on Dashing Scoundrel?
Beware of the blowout potential. I mean, it happened to me. And it's not fun when you get blown out. There's a lot of chars running around the format too. It's like very easily killed. So because of that, it's a C+. I know our system will move that up to a B-, but yeah, that's why I had it a little bit lower. But it's like, one half grade lower than you guys. It's like whatever. It's very good.
Yeah, no, it's very real though. Very real. I agree with that. So yeah, Dashing Scoundrel, you get a B-. Buyer beware. It's huge upside, but major blowout potential. Next up, we have Frontline Healer, which I actually think was the first rare I played in this format thanks to Goblin Drafting. This is a 3/2 Cleric for 3 double time. Deadly, Stealth, Ultimate. When you take damage or play another unit with Stealth, reveal Frontline, right? When you take damage, yeah. Reveal Frontline Healer to gain 5 health. I think this card is just fine. Nothing super spectacular, nothing super bad. Of note, we did talk about in the previous show in depth how 2 health stealth units is a kind of a liability, because it's normally the biggest way that people try to reveal stealth. And so this guy has a higher chance of dying. And, like 5 health for free essentially is nothing to gawk at. It could change your race, could make a big difference, but it also doesn't really affect the board either. So I gave Frontline Healer just a straight C. Alex, what'd you give it?
Yeah, it's just like a middle of the road C for me as well.
John?
I think I just gave it a C+ because I think the stealth and the deadly gives it kind of an opportunity. There's at least a chance to trade up. And it's like, I think it's with the deadly, it's probably just better than a 3/3 for 3 in my mind, but not by too much. I don't know. Just it's close enough. C+ for me.
Yeah, fair enough. So C for Frontline Healer. And yeah, I think it's going to fluctuate based on how convenient 2 damage is in the format. Next up, Meditative Trance is a 3-time relic. When you draw a card, you gain 1 health. F. John?
Yeah, F for me as well. I'm only happy with a relic like this in draft. Like if it's played for free off of the Dorito Moth. I'm not trying to actually put this card in my deck. No thanks.
Alex.
Let me break this down for you guys. F.
Fair enough. Incidental life gain for no value, not good enough. Moving right along. Kenya, Iron Thorn, Envoy. 4/4 soldier for 4 double time. Summon when one of your units hits the enemy player this turn. Play a random sigil from your deck. Pay 10 to give your units +3/+3 this turn. John, what do you think of Kanya?
Yeah, I think so there was a bug with this card, I think, when I rated it. And so I think it's been fixed by now. And I think that brought my rating down a bit because it's like I think it just could just go on forever. And I think it was even working from your void or something before. It was definitely just bugged out. But I think gotta bring it down to like I don't know. I had it at a B plus, but like I said, that was way too high. Like
You gave this card a rating on a bug?
I didn't
Bro.
really realize it was bugged. I had just played with it, and now that I'm reading it, I'm like, whoa. Like I knew they fixed it or whatever. Sorry. So I don't know. Like it's basically just a 4/4 for 4 summon. Play a power, maybe 2, whatever. It depends on the board state, right? And then it's not an ultimate, but it has a pay 10 ability. It's like that's very expensive.
Yeah.
So that basically is flavor text. So it's basically a 4/4 for 4 that maybe plays a power. So I think that's pretty good. But it's not great. Maybe it's like a C plus.
Okay. Yeah, I just gave it a straight C. I think it's just gonna be a 4/4 for 4 most of the time. You bring up a very good point though that I failed to mention, where it does say when one of your units, it doesn't say one or more. So the more units that hit, then the more power it'll play off the top of your deck. And I guess maybe that's why they put the pay 10. But
Right.
I mean,
like in constructed,
feel-
that's a real thing. Yeah, but in limited, it's going to be hard to craft a board state in a deck where that always pops off, right?
Alex?
I mean, I guess I'm a little higher, closer to John's original grade. I was at a straight B. I didn't know about any glitches or anything, but it's not that hard of a world to imagine where like you get 2 powers off of this, like the turn you play it if you're in an Elysian deck with some flyers or whatever. And if you get to 10, which some games are crazy board stalled, and that's a great board stall breaking play. Like it's like Behold the Truth like on a stick or whatever. After that, that's pretty darn good, even though it's for 10. So yeah, I'm at a B. It has like enough things going for it, and it helps itself get to its late game ability. So yeah, I'm at a B.
Is it because we're in time that you think 10 is more doable? Because that relic for 7 in fire, you were like, man, even getting the 8 is pretty rough, and now you're talking about 2 power over that being doable.
I mean, like a lot of my games have just been like looking across the board, and like both players have full boards, and like that's, I don't know, it's a card that helps you like win those situations. But maybe that's just my games. I don't know.
All right, where do you want to go with this, John? Because I think B is a little high personally, but I mean,
Yeah, I'm cool with either a B minus or a C plus, either one.
All right. Well, I'll defer to you guys being the better drafters. I'll go B minus, I guess, on Kanya, but
like even
at the very least,
four is like a 4/4 for 4 is like
yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah, but yeah, you don't have to be in Combre, be it to play that 4/4 Valor for 4, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. So a B minus for wait, hold on. Why did I write that? Well, that's odd. Oh, never mind. B minus for Kanya Iron Thorn. Next up, we have The Last Carnosaur. A sick artwork. Is a 6/5 dinosaur for 5 double time. Stealth, so that's sweet. That already makes this card good because I don't think anyone's suspecting a 6/5, especially at legendary. So this thing is just going to be blowouts on that end. Ultimate, at the start of your turn, reveal the last Carnosaur to give your units, your units, all of them, killer. So, I mean, it can easily eat a card just being a 6/5 on defense, but there are going to be some times where you're just going to let your opponent swing through so you can give all your units killer if you have the right board state for it. I mean, this thing can clear out your opponent's board very quickly, or at least make it to where they can't play anything good after that. So yeah, I like this card. It has removal tacked onto it, which you guys know I value quite highly. The unit is pretty impressive, and it's a dinosaur. So I give it an A. Alex?
Like, I mean, half a grade lower. I mean, even if you lose out on the killer, the floor was a 6/5 for 5. Like, yeah, I mean, A-, but I could easily be an A on it.
John?
I give it a B+. I don't know. Like, the stats are good, but I mean, if you're talking about just on par stats, that's like C territory, right? I don't know. I mean, the upside is what brings it up. But it can be interacted with, and sometimes, you know, you don't have a board, or sometimes you just have to play it in block. So, I don't know. We can average at a A- for this one. I'm cool with that.
All right, A- for the last Carnosaur. I keep wanting to say Tio. What is it? Etio? Atio? Etio?
I would
Do you
say
have one for this guy?
Etio, probably, but yeah, who knows?
All right. Etio, Chief Examiner, is a 6/3 soldier for 6 double time. Summon, choose another unit. You gain its health. If it's hidden, i.e. it's stealthed, and not revealed yet, reveal it. And Etio gets that much health as well. John?
So its stats are pretty weird for a 6-drop, and kind of bad even. Except, you know, the chance to get that up, like, it's kind of real, right? Because of his summon effect. All you need is another unit in play, and it can be an opponent's unit or one of yours. So I think chances are good that it'll come up, right? Maybe like 6/5 at the worst on most board states, right? So I don't know. I think its stats are actually solid. And like, you know, that the ability to just reveal stealth units with upside is kind of legit in the format, I think, but it does cost 6. But you know, people do place 5-drop stealth units on 5, so you know, it fits in the curve or whatever, so it's fine. I think it's a B-.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't click. Geez, I'm totally doing a horrible job of naming these cards. It does say choose another unit. It does say another one of your units, so it could reveal opponent's units, stealth units as well. What'd you give it again? I'm sorry, B-?
Yeah, I said B-.
Okay, Alex?
This was like a little like expensive and finicky for me. Like, so I'm just at a C, and that's probably a punt, but yeah, I gave him a C.
No, I'm low on this guy. I gave him a C-. I feel like, I mean, if there's not a stealth unit in play, this guy's just gonna rot in your hand. And then you just finished talking about how vanilla 6/5 is just okay. So yeah, I give it, so what is it, B-?
I think I may have misread this. Like, I was thinking it could always get a health buff. It has to have a hidden unit to get a health buff. Is that right? Oh my god.
Yes, yeah, it has to reveal
Another
it.
unit. No, that's not true. Wait,
It
you gain its health. Oh my god. Yeah, that is right. My bad. Yeah, this card sucks. I'm sorry.
Well, not sucks, right? Like, it goes down a grade for you, probably.
All right, so what's your modified grade then?
Just because he pissed me off, he's more like an F for me now, but like C-. Yeah, I'm cool with that one. That sounds good.
All right, C-. Okay,
Oh,
cool. Yeah, you're always gonna gain that. Yeah. You are always gonna get its health, but
health.
He's only get the buff.
Health. Otherwise, he sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Dang it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
F.
Etio, Chief Examiner, you get C-, and then a rebellious or a spiteful F for just having words trickery. All right, next up, Supply Lines is a 6 double time relic. When you play a unit, it gets +1/+1. Then increase this ability by 1. So right off the bat, as soon as you play a unit after paying 6 to play this thing and do nothing, I feel like it should have had an amplify to play a unit. That's just me, but you know, whatever. Anywho, it'll get a +1/+1, and then now the next unit you play will get a +2/+2, and the unit after that +3/+3, and so on and so forth. And of course, I don't think in limited it's going to come up really often, but there is restorative process in this format. So I guess if your opponent does destroy it, I feel like it retains
Turn
its
back
ability.
time as well.
Yeah.
And yeah,
and turn back time. Yeah. I figured that's the way Eternal works. So yeah. So yeah, if you get it up to like example 3/3/3/3 and your opponent kills it, even if you bring it back with one of those two that John mentioned, then it'll still remember 3/3/3 for the next unit. Man, I gave it a D only because of the fact that it costs 6, and I feel by that point you're not playing too many units after that. It is a permanent buff. I don't know. It's probably higher than a D, but man, a 6 cost do nothing. It seems a little awkward for me. So I could have said I gave it a low grade, but maybe not. Because, I mean, that is a very powerful effect. And if you are able to play it on 6 and you're able to stall the game a little bit, now all of a sudden all your stealth units are getting buffed, right? Your flyers are getting buffed. So there's that. But there is some for the reserves in the format, which feels pretty sweet, right? Play this on 6 and then on 7 you play 3 units. So they all get buffed. But yeah, I'm not sure, John. Where are you? Oh, I'll give you a little bit more time to cool off after the chief examiner. Alex, where are you at on supply lines?
Yeah, this seems a little too slow to get the kind of value that I'd want out of it. So I was out there with the D with you.
Okay. All right, fair enough. John?
Well, I'm afraid we're gonna have to come up a little bit probably, but like I was initially there with you guys until I saw this in action and someone's draft. And yeah, like even like so in some games like they just wouldn't draw it and who cares, but like if they played it on 6 it looked great. If they played it even later than 6 it was still looking pretty great. Like I think you have to build your deck with this in mind just a little bit, but no, I think it's worth it. Like I give it a B- after seeing it in play. I'm pretty sure my initial grade was like a D+ or something because I was just like, yeah, it's too slow, right? No, I think it's just that powerful, and like I think it's not that hard to make your time deck get to 6 in this format. Yeah, I mean, you don't want to just jam this as like top end of an aggro deck, like kind of like these other expensive cards we mentioned earlier, but I think it's very powerful.
Okay. Well, I'm good to come up to a B-, Alex, just because I haven't seen it play and John's going off of actual science, so I'm good to come up. What about you?
Sure.
I mean, we can go in the C range too. Like I want
like that's yeah. I'm cool with like how about a C+?
Okay, sure. All right. We can do a C+. I'm good with that because I do think it's a little clunky, but I mean I could see if it goes unanswered.
Yeah, like if it gets out in a board stall or you, like John said, you kind of like planned your deck around it, then yeah, it could be strong.
And like you mentioned ramping, I mean, time does have the ramp, and
it does. And that, like I was thinking, I'm like, why did I not like this card as much as the other cards? But yeah, no,
it's just because it seems really slow, but it's just it actually affects the board so much. If you play a few units after you play this, you basically win.
Fair enough. All right, so B or C+ for supply lines. Cool. Next up is Valiant Guardian. This is an 8/8 Sentinel for 8 quadruple time, endurance, overwhelm, and valor. Enemy spells cost 4 more. When Valiant Guardian hits the enemy player, play the top 2 cards of your deck. Just straight up play them. Done skis. And it just has to hit. So if they block with, like, for example, a 3/3, then 5 damage rolls over, and or actually 6 damage because of Valor, etc., etc. This card feels really great. It is 8 though, and you have to be playing time 100%. Like, don't be fooled. We had 4 influence cost spells in previous formats, and it was definitely a color commitment, no doubt about it. I like this card. I think if it goes unanswered, with a little bit of support, this card can just completely win the game. It is a little awkward with combat tricks, right? If that's what you draw off the top of your deck because you already finished combat. So there is that. But once again, 2 cards for free seems pretty good. It'll ramp you if it's power. So it's getting power off the top of your deck. It plays any size unit. Yeah, I like this card. I give it a B minus. John?
I like it a lot. Despite being an 8-drop, I would be happy to attempt to play this in drafts because it's like a game-winning bomb. But yeah, like the cost is the downside here, so I rate it pretty high, B plus.
Okay, Alex?
I was at a B minus. Very good card. Hard to cast.
Cool. That sounds more reasonable. I just like it.
I know. I like it a lot. I want to play this card.
All right, let's just do a flat B. I'm okay. I like this card as well. Let's do a flat B because I mean, honestly, the B minus was because of the quadruple time and 8. So,
me too. I was like, I don't want to tell everyone this is great. Like B minus.
Fair enough. Sweet. So that was time. Same thing. I think there were some really good cards. Time felt a little middle of the way though, a little more, right? There were a couple of cards that we were kind of like, okay, this is fine, or okay, there's some upside. Versus like, oh my god, Windmill Slam, or like, oh geez, just don't play this. So fair enough.
Yeah, I think those two fire cards are probably better than any of these.
Yeah, I agree. I think so as well. Okay. Going into Justice Sketch. Gain Justice Influence. Depleted unless you have played a sigil this game. Amplify 5. Play a Research Lab. Research Lab is a 5-cost relic that looks super cool. Once per turn, you may pay 5 to double a unit's health and attack. This card feels really sweet to me. I gave it an A. Like, I mean, it turns a 2/2 into a 4/4 and then into an 8/8. So this thing is ridiculous with comboed with flyers. And I mean, it doesn't take much for this to really kind of outclass. If you're in any kind of a board stall, you just start spreading these buffs around. Like, oh man, this is going to be sweet. I can imagine this being really busted in Rakano just because you have access to giving your units overwhelm. Like, I like this card a lot, especially it being just free. 5 is a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's not completely free as far as that cost goes, but once again, if you have an evasive fly your opponent can't answer, you know, you have a good chance of taking it out of damage removal range. This card seems sweet. If you're falling behind because your opponent's hitting you with a big unit or whatever, you have a higher chance of doubling a unit that could block it. So yeah, I really like this card as a late game power sink. So Justice Sketch got an A for me actually, and then once again, it's free. So John?
I gave this one an A minus, so I'm pretty close to you there. Like, it's just such a powerful effect, right? It's just kind of slow, and there'll be some games where you just don't have time to do any of this, and you just kind of get run over or whatever. And it just if your board is like only your developing units, 2/2s and whatnot, like it's gonna be kind of medium there. But
now the flip side to that, I completely agree with you. The flip side to that, which is probably why you just still went an A minus, is just the fact that it's still power, right? If you don't have a position to play it, you still want to play the power. So, you know, there's that. So I think that's one of the things that keeps it pretty high for the both of us is the fact that it's not necessarily costing you a card to do that.
I don't know. Like, I feel like I want this effect so bad that like when I'm deck building, I might not consider it a power. You know what I mean?
Fair. Yeah, I can see that. You 100% want to amplify it so you treat it more as a 5-drop. Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, but you know, we all know every game limited. Things don't happen the way you plan a lot. So yeah, there will be some games where you do just play as a power, no matter how much you don't want to.
Alex, what about you?
Yeah, this is my favorite sketch. I'd say I'm at an A minus as well.
Sweet. Fair enough. All right. So A minus for the Justice Sketch. Really cool. I really like what Direwolf has been doing with power. Like they've really, I like it. All right. Next up, Custom Munitions. This is a 2 Justice relic. Once per turn, you may pay 1 and discard a card to give a unit +1/+1, flying, endurance, and Warcry this turn. So I give this card a D. But I know it can win the game, and I know you can pitch power, and the Warcry is permanent despite the +1/+1 flying endurance is not. This card is probably more powerful than that, but I'm a little skeptical. And once again, I'm fully open to the fact that I'm wrong. Discarding a card for a temporary effect always kind of gets on me, but once again, you probably want this in the late game to break a stall, and you're discarding a power for Warcry, etc., etc. Alex, talk me up on it.
No. I like it at at D as well. I mean, you're opened up to blowouts. I don't like those temporary buffs. Yeah, someone else threw me wrong. I gave it a D.
Okay, cool. John.
Yeah, I gave it a B- because I was skeptical like you guys, and then this one came with a personal recommendation from Gunner, so I kept an open
Draft World
mind,
Champion.
and it has overperformed for me. And I've only seen it be good, I think, in any deck I've seen it in. And that's like without only being in like the discard deck. This is like just as a draft deck value card, like with not necessarily any synergy, other than it's helping your units kill your opponent, and that's a pretty good effect. Like, I mean, it's like a more powerful version of siege provisions, except you obviously have to discard, but just do it whenever you have cards that you don't care about, which, I mean, as long as you're like an aggressive deck, it's not hard to have extra extra power and extra units you don't care about anymore when you're just running over your opponent with this, with these like powerful flyers. And it's the war cry is legit too, and I don't know, like it helps you with the endurance, like attack and defend too. Like I've found it to be a pretty good flexible draft card.
See, but then even that feels awkward to me, because then what happens? You war cry something, right? But then you draw it, so then you're playing it instead of discarding it to feel. You see what I'm saying? Like the tension there, right?
Sure. Yeah, you don't discard the good cards you draw. You discard the bad ones.
But then the war cry is making some of those bad cards better.
That's sure. Just play them. I mean, it just depends on the board state, right? Like whether that's actually helping you win the game faster or
like maybe
pushing damage.
I just had awkward situations because this was in a draft deck for me, and it didn't really work. But I don't know.
Okay, so let's go with C plus then, I guess, because you said B minus, right,
I did,
John?
But
okay,
you guys were in the D range, so I mean, you can just go C wherever.
We'll go C plus, because once again, I value science, and we have science on both sides of the board. I personally
definitely value Gunner and John's opinions on it, so
Yeah.
I'm down to try it again.
Yeah, so we'll go with C plus for the time being, but leave it up to interpretation, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like, I mean, I see it. I don't know. Like, it's the kind of card that gives me a headache. Like, I don't think I'll be able to play that card correctly.
It's the card that I want to be good. It's like the type of card that I want to use. Just like discarding is such a real thing. But, yeah.
All right. So custom munitions, you get a C plus for the time being, but obviously draft world champion of Eternal recommends it, as well as our best drafter in the podcast. So take that for what it's worth. It could be a B easily.
We'll revisit this one later.
Yeah, fair enough. Next up, Iron Priestess is a 2/2 Tinker Soldier for 2 Justice. So 2/2 for 2 Valor, like that. And then if you have any kind of Justice influence, just one. When Iron Priestess goes to your void, create and draw a weapon with with attack and armor. That's actually kind of funny that they put the health thing, but it's making a weapon.
Well, it's not a relic weapon, right?
Oh, that's right. Gosh, I keep forgetting it's not a relic weapon. You're right. Never mind. That makes sense. So you get a weapon. So an attachment, one that goes on your units with health and attack equal to her attack and health. So if she triggers Valor, she's a 3/3, then she dies. You'll get a +3+. You'll get essentially a rail driver. Yep, that makes sense. That's right. That makes a lot more sense now. I kind of missed that. So yeah, Iron Priestess 2/2 for 2 with upside. Obviously she works pretty decent with pump spells, but then the pump spells kind of keep her alive as well. And I wouldn't see you're not 2-for-1ing yourself because you're obviously replacing it. So I guess that's still an upgrade, right? It goes from a combat trick to essentially a permanent buff.
Yeah.
That being said, I still gave her a C plus. What do you think, John?
It's a little higher at a B minus. Like, yeah, it's just a lot of value in this 2-drop, and like, I mean, it can punch up on its own a little bit with Valor too, right? Like, and that if they do end up killing it, with blocks, that definitely means your weapon was bigger. Like, I don't know, it's pretty solid.
Okay, all right, fair enough. The thing is too is that she doesn't have anything tacked onto her, right? So there's times where I'll just take 2. So, what do you think, Alex?
I've noticed a lot with Valor units. I take 1 or I take 2 a lot. So yeah, I'm a C plus because you can kind of like you can really impact what kind of weapon they're gonna get when they're gonna get it. So C plus, but it's a really good 2-drop.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll go with C plus for the time being on Iron Priestess. With this may be another one that we come up on or go down on later on. I think it's going to fluctuate based on the format, honestly. Like right now, Finest Hour is, I think, completely boosted. So easy to make her a 5/5 or a 6/6, and that seems pretty busted.
But then she doesn't usually die, like you said, if she's getting that big buff,
Yeah. One thing, I mean, I guess she's better with Rakano, right? Because then you're buffing the front end and she may still die. Because you're not typically buffing the health.
Mhm.
The other thing, actually, question, because I had her, and I think I've played against her, but I don't think in either case I saw the weapon. Does the cost of the weapon change based on its stats, or is it always 5?
No, the cost is always the same.
What's the cost? Is it 5?
I don't remember.
Because on the tooltip it says custom rail drive.
Yeah,
Oh no, it
it's
says 2.
custom.
Never mind. Never
I
mind.
was gonna say
It says 2.
isn't it?
If I
2?
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it says 2. Yeah. The 2. Yeah. So I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. So
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
that's a
that's-
huge weapon for 2. Yeah.
Value.
Yeah.
That's why I said.
Yeah.
That's why I put her in the B range. But I mean, C plus is cool.
We'll see. I mean, I'm open to it. I everything is theory crafting when it comes to her right now, because like I said, I think when my opponent had her, I just end up taking 2 or whatever, and then at one point they had the chump block with her or whatever, and that point, the weapon didn't matter. Next up, we have a sight. Endless Steps is a 3 justice sight with 3, I want to say armor, but I think it's something durability, right? I think it's durability. Is what they call it?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Your most recently played unit has plus attack and plus health equal to Endless Steps durability. Then, so if you play a 1/1 and it's at 3, it becomes a 4. Oh wait, is it permanent? It is permanent. That's kind of cool.
Well,
So
it's like
wait, your most recently
No, it's
played
as.
unit. No, wait.
It's
And
like
it go- it
permanent until you play a
fluctuates.
new unit, right?
Oh,
it
yeah,
goes
okay,
to the
yeah,
new unit after you play a new one, and it like fluctuates with the site's health or durability.
yeah, got you. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
And this
So-
was bugged out. I think they fixed it.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, of note, it is a fluctuating buff both on durability level as well as, and right now I don't think there's a way to add durability to a
Not-
site.
In draft, only
Even constructed, but even then it's just when you play it, right? It doesn't
yes, as far as I know.
Yeah. So yeah, couple of little snippets there, and then the agenda is Tara's agenda. So Tara is the best part about this. I'll read Tara really briefly. 3/3 for 3, summon, give one of your other units Warcry 2. Then when an enemy kills that unit, the one you buffed, double Tara's attack and health, and she gets Warcry 4. And then her agenda is endure 4 times. Get it? Because you're climbing up endless steps. And endure reads, endure 0 cost, give one of your units invulnerable to damage this turn. So of course, Tara giving Warcry to a unit that could potentially attack every turn happens after the 4 endures. It's 4 endures that it says this turn, so it's not even vulnerable to I don't know. I think this is complete meme. I give it a D just because playing a site sometimes changes the dynamics of the game and there is a buff. But question, actually, no, it is a static effect. So when you lose endless steps, the buff will go away, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I almost feel like this card's an F, but it's a site, so I wanted to give it a D. Alex?
Pass.
S. S for sight
Okay, fair.
or S tier.
No, I just said
Yeah.
pass. Like I want to hear
Oh,
what John
pass.
says first because I was like,
Oh, pass.
I was
Gotcha.
way higher than Jedi on it. So
Oh,
I
me
don't.
too.
Okay, because
Okay,
I thought I was.
yeah, please go ahead.
I mean, like,
Because it feels like win more to me. Like you have to have a unit that you're. Because what happens if you only have a 3/3, right? And you're like, sweet,
And it's a
endure it.
6/6 now, and it can attack with invulnerability.
with invulnerability, yeah. No, I think this is quite good. I give it a B plus, and like I really want to try this card. Like I think it's good for an aggressive justice deck.
Yeah, but
My-
but
I
then
mean,
you
the
also
cost per buff is on rate, right? 3.
but then you also have to be in a position where you could defend the site.
No, you don't. Or I mean, you could
What?
get in
Why
there,
wouldn't
maybe
you?
trade with a unit, and then they have to like attack you to take down the site.
Okay,
Opens up
I
more
trust you
attacks.
guys.
Whether it stays in play or not, it opens up more attacks.
Okay, all right. So would you go?
I
Would
have
you
it on
give
a
it
B.
I give it
B?
a
Okay,
B plus. So like,
okay. All right, we'll go.
but I'm really bad at grading sites, so
I think
take
most
that
sites are
for what it's worth.
A's, so I don't think
Yeah.
this is like an A, but I think it's a
Okay.
solid draft card.
Okay. I'll trust you guys. I think it's personally awkward, but that's
value
why
the thing you said about changing the dynamic of the game. Like, I feel like this opens up attacks. Like, even if it's just for one turn, it probably
Mhm.
trades, and it
Mhm.
probably like also lets me get in some damage. So that's
See-
that's what I like to do in draft.
See, the other awkward thing for me is that like it's your most recently played unit. So if you have, for example, if you played, let's say, a side street modder, right, the 2/1 flyer, and then you played, I don't know, a 2/2 something, anything, and then you play endless steps, you'd want to buff the flyer, but you can't. It's gonna buff whatever else you played. So I don't know. I think it's a little awkward, but I could be completely wrong, and that's why we have three of us on the show to have discussions about cards. And I appreciate the ones that are kind of not easy F or A's. So I'll trust you guys. We'll give a B to Endless Steps, and we'll see what happens when I'm on the receiving end of a beatdown from it. See if I go up. Okay. Next up, we have Kako, the Bodyguard. Keiko, John.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine on this one, man.
Cacao.
All right, I'll go with
Cacao.
yeah,
How do you like it
Cacao.
now?
Catalina Wine Mixer, Cacao. The Bodyguard is a 2/2 soldier for 3 justice. Awkward Bodyguard just sitting there with a drink, but all right. Lifesteal Stealth. At the start of your turn, if Cacao is hidden, he gets +1/+1. Just keep stacking. You can just leave this dude hidden, and he'll keep stacking. Ultimate. When exactly 2 enemies attack, reveal Cacao to give them -6 attack this turn. So essentially playing detain on them, which I mean makes it a lot better to block them and stuff and kind of blow out your opponent. Even whether you choose to block with Cacao or not is up to you. All right, let's send over to you, John. Where are you at on this guy?
Yeah, like it's a bit slow, and it's not trivial to grow it right in the format. But like I think the payoff, can really swing a game if it does grow. And like you mentioned, like this whole giving 2 attackers detain, occasionally, because he has to be hidden for that to happen. So like when that does happen, I think that can really be a blowout too. So there's a lot of upside on this guy. Unfortunately, it's a 3 cost 2/2, but I think that's fine. It's a B- for me.
Yeah, I give it a B- as well. Alex, where are you at?
Right there with you guys.
Sweet. So Cacao gets a B- for Bodyguard. Sweet. All right, this card is just straight up busted. Give it a B-, or no, I give it an A. That's right, because it's not 1 removal spell, it's 2 removal spells. Manacles is a 3 Justice Cursed Relic. Summon, stun 2 enemy units. They stay stunned while you have Manacles. When either of them readies or dies, sacrifice Manacles. Of course, it's a stun, so you can break it with Endurance. I think that's what the game's talking about. There's not a lot of Relic hate in this format, even though there is. Alex, what do you think of Manacles?
Yeah, just because it like the opponent has some ways to hose you out of it. I gave it an A-, even though it is 2 units, but this is a really good card. Definitely an A range card.
John?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think if efficient removal is more in the B category for the most part, and like this doesn't actually kill stuff, and it can be interacted with. So it's like on the low end of the removal spectrum for me there, like the lower end, it's a B- for me. It's like there's ways to break this at common and uncommon. That's people are possibly running in their decks. Like I do think a lot of games it's just going to lock down 2 units permanently, which is really good. So it's definitely in the B range for me. Maybe I'm a little low on it. I don't know. What do you think, Jedi?
I like I said, I give it an A. The fact that it deals with 2 units versus 1 is really solid, and in my experiences, both playing against it and playing with it's they stay locked. Especially the later you play it. The earlier you play it, then it's more susceptible. But when you play it later in the game, you stun down like their flyer, one of their biggest units and stuff like that. It really changes the dynamic of the game, and they've burnt through most of their deck at that point, or their potential answers to it. So yeah, let's see, A minus, and then B minus. So what do you think, Alex? Where do you want to sit on it?
Is that a B plus? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a B plus. That's fine.
Okay, all right. We'll go with B plus for manacles. You know, and the fact is that it's a rare too, right? So it's not like people are playing around it.
No, but
certain removal spells we see at like the common and uncommon level, people kind of play around a little more versus, you know, it being rare means that they're not going to play around it. But
like, if this was last format with, I think there was more sacrifice kind of in last format. Like this would be like unplayable basically.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
There's still some, but
okay. And I mean, yeah, you're right. And then sacking one will break both, so there is that downside for sure. I build around question mark for this one. I actually lost to this in constructed though, which I thought was pretty funny. I was trying out a deck and I actually had no flyers, and I was like, well, all right. This is experimental force field, +0/+1 relic weapon for 4 double justice. Enemy units without flying can't attack you. You have -1 maximum power for each enemy unit without flying. So just for sake of finishing that conversation, it was one of those relic ramp, Combray relic ramp decks. So they played the one that plays a Justice Sigil every turn for you or whatever. So that's how they locked up the game, and then just waited till they had a preposterous amount of power. Anywho, so I gave it a build around question mark, and I think it might not even be that. I don't know.
Like, how are you building around it in your draft deck?
I mean, you have flyers, right?
Well, it doesn't matter really what you have. Like, what's your opponent have? That's what matters, right?
You have ways to give all your opponent's units flying. There you go. I gave this a market card. A market grade, I mean, because it's like a card I could see pulling out of the market and it being good. It's very situational. Sure. And which means it's unplayable in this format, basically.
Right.
At least that's where I'm at with this. I don't really want to experiment with this force field.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine a deck where I just jam this main deck and think it's great, right? I just couldn't think of anything. So I gave it an F/market grade.
Okay, we'll go market. We have that grade. Why not? It's weird, so we'll give it market grade.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be some board states if you have market access where this will be great.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, next up is Great Blade. I like the fact that they have some simple names sometimes in this game. I really appreciate that. Great Blade is a +3/+3 weapon for 5 double justice, while the wielder, i.e. the unit it is on, has more health than a player. So either yourself or the opponent, it has double damage and endurance, and is invulnerable to damage. Amplify 3. Play Challenge by Law. Challenge by Law is a 6-cost spell. Kill an enemy unit. Silence the rest. Yeah, if there's ever been an 8-cost payoff, this is one of them. I like this card. Wow, why did I give it C-? That's weird. I must have not read the card.
Misclick?
Huh?
Misclick?
It has to be, right? Like, this card's what? I guess maybe a B plus, just because you have to have a unit to play, but it also, like, it's also a win con and gets rid of their best unit and silences their board, so it's probably still an A. I don't know, John.
Yeah, so I had it in the C range too. I had it a C plus. Like, and I think I was wrong because I've seen it in action now, even though it's a legendary. I have seen this in a draft deck and I've seen it in games, and it overperformed. So I don't know, like, sometimes it'll just be a nice chunky weapon, like 3/3 for 5 is good stats for a weapon. But I think you do want to go for the 8 cost wherever possible. But this, all these other words are actually going to be relevant eventually in the game, and sometimes it does help you like close out the game a little bit faster too. Like, I don't know, this thing overperformed, like I said, so I want to come up into the B range at least, somewhere. Like,
Yeah,
maybe
I
just
think
a
I'm
B,
good
maybe
with.
B minus.
Yeah, I think I'm good with a solid B. I like that. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I was like high. I was A minus on this card because it's like when you are doing the amplify, or is it amplify or is it?
It is
Yes,
an
it's amplify.
amplify, but
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, thanks. You can like kill multiple things or whatever. That's crazy.
Oh
But
my god, bro! Now you're going. It's like every time we
11
go to a different
power.
faction. Yeah, 11 power now. So first it was like 7, then it was 8. Then it was 10, and now you're talking about 11 power. Jeez, Alex,
Like-
what kind of gum up board
it's like
take do you have? You're the
super-
aggressive
I thought
player.
this was our
Um,
aggro player. What is this?
I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. But no, so like when you're doing this 8 cost, trick, let's say that's the average that you would do it even in the biggest of Christmas lands, then it's like good chances that it's gonna be like higher cost. I mean, higher than someone's life total. So like the unit ends up being a pretty awesome, amazing unit on the board, and then plus it like cleared out your opponent's units in a good way. So I'm probably a little bit high on it, but like John said, I've also seen it in action. It worked really well. So I could go down to a B though.
All right, yeah, we'll give it even B for Great Blade because you do need a unit in play, and you're not gonna have any
ultimately,
11.
yeah, that's a big detractor for a powerful card. Like, you
You're not
can't,
gonna have-
if they've like dealt with your board, you can't kill their thing that's killing you without your own unit. So
Right? Yeah, that's true.
All right,
it's still
fair
great.
enough. So a B for Great Blade. Get out of here with your 11 power, Alex. What's up with you, man? Come on. Now.
No, you know.
Alex is known for like decks that stop a curve at 4, and then he's like talking about 11 and 10 power. I don't know what's going on with you. Where's Alex, and what have you done with him? Next up is Kai, Awakened Master. This is a 3/6 Awakened, 5 double justice, stealth, summon. Each unit in your hand gets a random battle skill. Ultimate, when you play another unit, reveal Kai to play Kai's blessing. Now, of course, it has to be stealth to reveal it. So as usual, if it's revealed in any other way, either by blocking, by attacking, or by your opponent targeting it with something, then you don't get the ultimate buff. Kai's blessing reads, one of your units becomes awakened. Give its battle skills to each unit in your deck. So you have to have another. I mean, I guess you could target Kai, right? I guess so. Give one of your so I guess you could target Kai, but you want to target another unit, and then it has to have battle skills to buff the rest of it, which in limited is probably either going to be Valor. Let's see, Valor, maybe Warcry, and then Flying are probably the 3 most common that you'll see in this format. Feels like. Yeah, I mean, obviously probably doing it on a Ursa Squadron would be pretty sweet. Or, I mean, Side Street. I think Side Street Monitor is in the format. I don't remember if it is or not.
Yeah, it's in the draft packs. Like, that would be so
It's just
good.
not buffed. Yeah, geez, Flying and regen. Oh, so good. So yeah, I gave him a B. I mean, it requires setup is my thing, right? Like, I think this guy, he's a decent blocker. It can kind of run away with the game, but it requires setup. You need to have some units. You need to have some battle skills. So it could be less. It's probably actually closer to B minus, I think. But at the same time, when the things line up, this could feel really powerful to me. So let's go to apparently our new resident Greed Master. What do you think, Alex?
No, I mean you get a lot of value for a little bit of setup, and just a 3/6 for 5 is just really well costed. I like it at a B.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I gave Kai a B plus. I really put a premium on like the fact that it's like the 3/6 stealth is like that might just that I think in a lot of games that alone will get a card out of your opponent's hand, whether hand or board, right? Like whether they attacked into it not expecting the 6 butt, right, or wasted some kind of 2 or 5 damage on it, and then it just bounced off of it, like, and then
yeah,
it's got a lot more going on. You guys already mentioned. I think it's quite good.
Sweet. All right. So let's go with a B for Kai Awakened Master. Next up, Guardian Angel. Super cool artwork. I like the name. Guardian Angel is a 5/5 Valkyrie for 6 double justice. Flying Endurance. Sweet. Sign me up. Summon. Give one of your other units invulnerable to damage while you have Guardian Angel. Super on flavor as well. I think this card is great. Solid A. 6 is a little bit of the late game, but it is very much doable in this format. And a 5/5 flyer is just going to be the biggest thing on the board when it comes to the air. And giving one of your other units invulnerable to damage seems really sweet, because you can either A, play it defensively on, man, heaven forbid you put on like a small unit with deadly. Oh, that's so good. Your opponent's just not attacking into that. Or you could still play it on like a 2/2 or a 3/3 just to gum up the board and block on the ground. Or you put it on a big unit that could just keep swinging. Your opponent's forced to chump block. And or you put it on an Ursa Squadron, so you can just keep getting in there with Warcry. It is just all around good. I like this card. There is some potential blowout, because it is an active effect. So of course, if you attack with your small unit and with Guardian Angel, they kill Guardian Angel. Now your smaller unit doesn't have is no longer vulnerable to damage. So that is a little bit of a disclaimer there. But this card's great. I give it a solid A. I am happy to play this card anytime. John?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. I mean, nothing gives you that warm fuzzy feeling in draft like playing a huge Justice Flying Endurance unit, right? Like those are always so good. And the fact that this one gets you value the turn you play it, usually opening up some otherwise impossible attack or whatever, like you said, it's just so good. Yeah, this is an easy A.
Alex?
I'm with it.
All right, sweet. So A for, oh, I gave B. Sorry, I misclicked.
I was
All right,
at
so
A minus. You guys talked me up, sure.
Yeah, I mean, flying is so good. It's so big.
Yeah, it gives me like value.
We were talking about 4/4 flyers for 5 being solid. This thing's a 5/5 endurance flyer for just one more with upside. Yeah,
for sure.
Sweet. That was Justice. I think Justice is solid.
Yeah,
easily the best so far.
Yeah, and then even the cards I was personally either confused or low on, you guys were both high on. So yeah, Justice is just awesome. You are happy to play Justice in this format. Next up is Primal Sketch. Well, that makes it easy. I was going to say Primal and then say Primal Sketch, but Primal Sketch. Gain a Primal Influence. Depleted unless you have played a sigil this game. Amplify 6, though. Play a Traveler's Guild House. And then Traveler's Guild House, if I remember correctly, is a 6-cost relic. Once per turn, you may pay 6 to draw a card. So we've seen this before in the form of 7 draw a card, and it stuns a unit when it comes into play. Drawing a card always feels good. So I gave this card an A because it's probably A minus actually. It's an A minus. Paying 6 to draw a card is a lot. It probably means that you're not going to get very much use out of that card the turn you draw it. But drawing a card when you got nothing else to do feels pretty good. And then once again, my biggest thing is the fact that it's not costing a card to do this. It is Amplify 6 though. So yeah, actually, I guess the Amplify does bring it down. It's probably closer to a B. I don't know. John, where are you at on Primal Sketch?
Yeah, look, I like both love this, but also do think it's slow, right? Like I wouldn't fault someone for taking like an aggressive card over this if there's like a great aggressive card or whatever in the pack, and you just prefer that play style, right? Like this lends itself towards a play style, but you can just play it in any deck, obviously too. But I gave it a B plus.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it is pretty slow, but that just goes to show you how powerful they know that drawing a card is. Alex, what do you think?
Well, when you're like amplifying for 12,
you did it. You went from 11 to 12. You did it.
Okay, so now I'm just trolling you guys, right? That's hilarious. No, but yeah, no, I like this card a lot. It says draw a card on it. It's just a little expensive for it, like so it's not quite in the A range, but it's a B plus for me as well.
B plus. All right, fair enough. So we'll go B plus. We'll go B plus because we all think it is clunky. And just because you mentioned 12 power, it does say once per turn. So yeah, actually amplifying this twice makes a lot of sense. So you could potentially pay 12 the subsequent turn and draw 2 cards.
Then aren't you like out of cards?
Feels like it. You're drawing so many cards. Played all your power by that point. All right, next up we have Runic Transformation. This is a 1 Primal Fast Spell. Transform 2 of your units into each other. So the trick here, right, is that like you're attacking with 2 units, and then your opponent blocks accordingly, and then you switch them so they're now, instead of favorable blocks to unfavorable blocks, or you're the one doing the blocking, and then your opponent does a combat trick, and then you switch one of your crummy units with one of your better units or something like that, I guess. I don't know. I think it requires way too much setup for a medium combat trick at best. I give it a C-. I mean, I think at best it's a 1-for-1 trying to get removal out of your opponent's hand and saving your best unit, but meh. So, I mean, I guess unless you swap it with like a deadly unit or whatever. So yeah, I give it a C- for Runic Transformation. Alex, where are you at on this card?
Yeah, I mean, you can do some nifty things with it, but it's like I'm at a C-. Same there, right with you.
John?
I'm close at like a C. I don't know. It's kind of like a bad combust sometimes, and 1-for-1 removal and a lot of board states at fast speed, right? Like, I don't know. It can go up and down just depending on the board state in your deck. If you build around this a little bit, it definitely goes up, right? If you include deadly killer regen more than your average deck, things like that. Like when you do swap the units, it refreshes those abilities like regen. So you can get a lot of additional value if you do kind of build around it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, but you also need to have 2 units in play, and you need to have a switch that works, right?
Yeah, so it's, like I said, kind of a bad
yeah,
combust.
Yeah. That's why I'm a little lower on it, because I think there is some, but like, I mean, just the stuff that you were talking about, refreshing killer and regen seems really sweet, but you have to have the unit with regen in play, or whatnot. So yeah, yeah, we'll give a C- for Rune Transformation. I don't think it's bad, but I think it definitely requires the proper scenario.
I like bad cards like this.
You do, and you make them better. Tormented Crown is next for 2 primal. It's a cursed relic. After 3 turns where the cursed player took damage. So it only counts the turns when they take damage. So if a turn goes by and the opponent didn't take damage, it doesn't count towards the 3 turns. Transform Tormented Crown into Curse of Torment. Curse of Torment is a 2 cost, I guess, curse as well. The cursed player's units are reckless, so they have to attack each turn. When a unit hits you or the cursed player, draw a card. Yeah, this seems super clunky and super awkward, and there's a world where it actually has some upside. No, wait. Oh, when they hit you, you draw a card. Okay. So either way, whether you're taking damage, so I guess you can let like their 1/1 through, take 1 damage, draw a card, which seems like a good trade. It still feels a little clunky, but there is a decent payoff. I don't know. I give it a D. I think it's way too clunky, and your opponent may be able to play around it. I'm not sure. So I give it a D, but I could be wrong. John, I feel like this card is kind of up your alley. Where are you at on this card?
Yeah. I like this card. It only costs 2. So it's like I don't know. The earlier in the game you play this, obviously the better it is. Like it's not a very good top deck. I think you want to have some evasive units with this, right? Like I don't know. I think there's going to be a good number of turns, right, where you damage your opponent. Otherwise, you're just losing that game anyway. So I like it's a good card draw engine to me. And then at some point, it kind of goes beyond that, like. Giving all of your opponent's units reckless is a pretty powerful effect. So I don't know. I don't really know how to rate this one.
Yeah, right. It's
I put the same.
So many things going on. It's hard to figure it out. Of note, you can't speed up the turns, right? It has to be a turn, but it can be your opponent's turn because it just says whenever a turn ends. So you can like hit them and then end of their turn ping them, and then on your turn hit them again, and then it'll flip. So that's about the quickest scenario you can get going on with it. But I just want to throw that out there. But that might be Magical Christmas Land. You were gonna say something, Alex? What was it?
No, like exactly what John just said. Like my note is, this is hard for me to grade. Like I want to like it. It's legendary, so I'm like, why do they make this card legendary? Because it's not a card I would normally play. But if you get, 3 turns and doing damage to your opponent, that is a very beneficial like cursed relic that goes out, right? Like regardless of any damage that's done basically to you or your opponent, you're drawing cards off of that. So that's pretty powerful. So that's why I gave it a B. But really I have no idea. I don't know. So there you go. That's a very, very good grade for you guys.
So where do we want to settle on, John? We have 2 Ds and a B.
I didn't say D. I just like I didn't really. I gave it like a C+ question mark. Like I just have no idea. It's like.
All right, let's go with the C+ because drawing cards in Reckless is pretty good, but yeah, this card is really awkward.
Like it leaves so weird. Your opponent like completely wide open, right? For crackback as well. Like if you do get that. The payoff.
Yeah, I mean, well, units don't have charge, so they at least get 1 turn to block with the units they play or whatever.
Right.
The constructed, I want to see this in Felon where you could play Ditro's Ruin, so you keep pinging them or whatever. But anywho, all right, yeah, I guess we'll find out. We'll have to play with it and see what the community says on that one. It's really interesting. Has Farming Eternal talked about it yet?
No.
Yeah, okay. I don't think they would anyways. It's a legendary. Like, we're rarely going to see that card.
I'll definitely play this if I ever open it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, I will too. It's such a question mark that we kind of have to.
Yeah.
Next up is Hidden Crusader. It is a 2/3 soldier for 3 primal stealth. When Hidden Crusader is revealed on your turn, draw a card. If she's revealed on the enemy turn, play a 2/2 soldier. Fine. I give her just a straight C. She's probably a C+. Actually, I'll go ahead and adjust mine. I'll give her a C+ because one way or another, you're getting some advantage or you're getting some bonus, right? You're either getting 4 or 5 worth of stats for 3, or you're getting a 2/3 plus a card for 3. I think that's solid. So C+ for Hidden Crusader. The 2/3 body isn't absolutely backbreaking. So I think that's because that's why I put her at a C. Alex, where are you at on Hidden Crusader?
I was like just a little bit higher. This is like just value town, right? Whenever it gets revealed, you're getting something. So yeah, I gave it a B-, 2/3 for 3. It's like acceptable at that range for a stealth unit. So yeah, I'd probably like this unit a little bit more than most. B-.
Okay. John?
I said B- question mark or C+. Like I was kind of torn too, but I ultimately I would go with my first one there, like the B- for this. Like yeah, it is kind of value town, and it even can it's got that 3 butt, right? So it might even eat a char as well.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I'm good to come up. So Hidden Crusader, you get a B-. Next up, Juffy. Jafai sounds like Jafar, so Jafai.
I would say Juffy on this one, personally.
Fine, Juffy.
Fine.
Juffy.
Yuffie.
Yeah. Yuffie. Yuffie Sprite Seer is a 1/3 sprite for 3 primal stealth. When you draw an additional card, Yuffie gets +1/+1 permanently. Intrigue. Transform 4 power cards in your deck into Dragon's Eyes. Dragon's Eyes is a draw 3 cards slow spell for 0. So good. Yeah, I gave her an A. Like, I mean, a 1/3 stealth isn't exciting by no means, but you play her for 5 and you have the chance of drawing 9 cards for free from your deck. I could be thinking way too high of her, but man, drawing 3 cards for free feels so good. Like, I mean, you have to draw them, right? And it transforms the power so they could be anywhere. Oh no, it is 4 power. So yeah, you could draw up to 12 cards, and plus, like, drawing your first Dragon's Eyes makes it higher possibility of drawing into your other ones. Like, man, that feels really good to me. And like I said, I could easily be saying that I'm overrating her because of the draw ability, but I mean, you play her, you put Dragon's Eyes in your deck, you jump block with her and ride her to victory, I guess. I don't know. And then, of course, if she sticks around, you play 1 Dragon's Eyes, she becomes a 4/6 flyer?
She's
or not flying.
I know.
Yeah, my bad.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, at least she doesn't have wings. Like, she is flying in the picture. Maybe she's jumping.
Those wings were like auto, like whatever, photoshopped out. Like I've never
Yeah.
seen a not flying sprite in my life.
Well,
I've
we
never heard
also
of it.
well the red grafter is a non-flying Valkyrie, so that took me a while to wrap my head around.
Right? No, that's true.
Well, speaking of which, Alex, what's your grade for Jufai?
So it's a card that I really, really like. I believe it should have flying. If you intrigue, right, and get those 4 Mind's Eyes in the deck, that's pretty darn good in the limited deck. It's because it's a smaller deck. I still gave it a B plus. Just the body itself is like kind of eh.
Yeah, no,
it does
completely.
get bigger. When you draw extra cards for sure, which like I guess kind of makes up for it. But B plus for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think, John?
I'm right in the middle with an A minus. It's just a little slow, but it's sweet.
All right. And then, if you have her in your deck, I don't think it'd be too hard to press to put something like the we have the draw discard 2/1 in the format, right? Don't we?
I think
And
so.
I think they always have Wisdom of the Elders in the format. So there's a couple other ways to draw additional cards. So my only question is, never mind. I answered my own question earlier when I talked about drawing 3. All right, never mind. So we'll go me in the middle, A minus for Juffy. Sprite Seer. Next up is Mist Helm. This is a +0/+4 relic weapon for 3 primal. Summon, play a 4/3 Mist Azri with Flying Aegis and Reckless. Entomb, sacrifice Mist Azri. And the Azri is, exactly that. 4/3 Flying Aegis Reckless. John, what do you think of Mist Helm?
I think this is pretty good. The unit is just pretty amazing, right? If you can protect the relic, I think you'll run away with the game pretty quickly with it, right? It's kind of it's the closest thing to like one of those illusions in Magic, where kind of they're great units, but if they're kind of touched at all, they just kind of get killed, right? So this kind of reminds me of that a little bit, where it's like overstated but really fragile in a way. I really like the design on it. I think it's cool. I give it a B minus.
Solid. Alex?
For the Miss Helm, I gave it a solid B. The 4/3 flyer that it's just going to give you is pretty good, even though it's reckless, and it's not too hard to like be pretty stabilized on the ground to just get a really cheap flyer out of the deal. So I gave it a B.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I gave it a B for all the reasons you guys said, both its fragility and its ability to close out the game. So yeah, Miss Helm, you get a solid B.
Cool.
Next up, sick artwork at Premium. Holy cow! If you guys get the chance, check out the reflector on Premium. It actually looks really cool.
Yo, you're not lying. You're not lying.
It's a 0/5 rogue for 3 primal stealth. Ultimate. When you play another unit, reveal reflector to transform it into a copy of that unit. If that unit is hidden, reflector becomes hidden first. So essentially it doesn't reveal itself. It stays, I guess it'll reveal itself, then it goes back to being stealth and copies that unit. So your opponent won't know what the copied unit is. I gave it a B minus because I don't know, and that might be too much. I don't know. I'm always so skeptical of cards like this. The 0/5 means it has a higher chance of sticking around, but I mean, if your opponent reveals it just stays there as an 0/5, and then you have to have a good unit for it to copy. So of course it just says when you play another unit, and it happens. So you can't just like pretty much in the very next unit you play. I don't know. I give it a B minus, but like I said, I think that might be too nice. It's probably even way lower. I'm not really sure, to be completely honest with you. I think you have to jump through a couple of hoops to make this thing good. But I mean, if you're in a Legion, you could play this on 5 and then play your populous controller on 6 and then swing with this guy. So there's that. I don't know. What do you think, John? You're muted.
My bad. See. I was on a C plus, and I was questioning if that was too high. So
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think we're pretty close, though, right? Like, I think the fail case as a 0.5 is not the worst. At least, I mean, it's not killing anyone, but
It's not great
could
either.
do some work, on the ground there. But yeah, I don't want to go any higher than that on this, really, just because so much has to go right on both.
Yeah, no,
the board and your hand, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean, if
it
you're
requires,
Huru, you could play this and then play your Guardian Angel, and then you make 2 Guardian Angels to protect each other. Oh, well, whatever.
Oh my god, that sounds so amazing. I want to do that.
Alex, where are you at on Reflector?
It's I like a clone type of ability. I think it's neat. I don't think you don't play it on 3 necessarily to copy your 4 drop. You like try to time this so that you're gonna get a kind of like you said, like the 6/6. That's a good example of something that would be really good to be attacking turn 6. So I was a little higher on it. I gave it a B, but yeah, you guys talked me down. I mean, it's totally dependent on the other cards in your deck, and you have to time it out just right. I'm done.
I mean, there's a world where this thing could be a blowout, right? You play it on 3. If you have some really good evasive 4 that you can get in there with, that's pretty sick. But yeah, I think it's just a little too clunky. I'm good with a C plus. Let's go to a C plus. I think that's the safer grade, where sometimes this thing's gonna be a complete blowout, and then other times it's gonna just be super clunky. Next up is Valise, right? Velis?
Yeah, sure.
What would you say?
Valise?
That's what I said. Please.
You're doing like a ease. I put a harder S there. Valise.
Valise. I don't see the difference. I really feel like we're saying the same thing, but all right.
Tomato.
Valise. Bear Rider is a 4/4 elf soldier for 4 double primal. When you attack with exactly 2 units, they get +1/+1 and overwhelm this turn. Draw a card, then discard a card. Ooh. All right. Alex, where are you at on Valise?
I like Valise a lot. Comes from experience, like having used the Bear Rider in my deck, my opponents having it in their decks. Buffing 2 attacking units is pretty good. That is a huge theme for this set. And drawing and discarding a card, getting through your deck faster, is like exactly what you always want to be doing in a limited game. I gave this unit an A.
Okay. All right, John, where are you at on Valise?
Yeah, I had it on a B plus before I saw it in action. I'm definitely down to go in the A range with this one. Like, the 4/4 for 4 is fine, but like this is just all juicy upside when it's in action, and it's those abilities are so good. Like that buff and the overwhelm is so good. So yeah, maybe like A minus. I don't know.
Okay, well, I was on a B plus as well, so let's go with B plus for Valise. The one thing that does irritate me, though, I get it. The elf soldier is her actually, but there's a bear in it, and it says Bear Rider. There should be bear somewhere in the tribal as well. Just saying, because they're not gonna make like a Shakronda Valise's bear mount, card. So, like, all right, fine, whatever. Just saying, but card is good. Card is sweet. Next up is B plus for Valise. Crackling Bauble is a 7 double primal relic. At the end of your turn, draw a card and deal its cost in damage to the enemy player. Yeah, so I give this card an A, and here's my reasoning behind it. It's not, believe it or not, it's actually not a 7 cost do nothing relic, because at the end of your turn, so the turn you play it, that turn you will draw an extra card to at least replace itself, and then you'll do damage. Of course, you can draw a sigil and it won't do any damage, but it's still a sigil off the top of your deck that you don't have to draw the following turn. And you don't have to activate anything. So you pay the initial 7 cost, right, and hope you don't die that turn. But after that, you're going to get a free card. and it could, slowly, it gives you inevitability, right? If you're in a board stall or your opponent has no good attacks, they're just going to eventually lose to this thing paying them. So, and then once again, we've talked multiple times already about the value of drawing a card. So I like this card. You have to get to 7, so you have to make your board state in a position where you're just not going to get wrecked. But we've seen some very high toughness cards from Primal, and I think it's doable in some other colors as well. So, and double Primal is not difficult to hit at 7 power. So I like this card. Yeah, that's why I give it an A. John?
I just think it's too slow to be an A for me, so I just gave it a B. Because I do agree that it's like a powerful, inevitability that I do like to play decks like that have cards like this a lot. So yeah, I think it's powerful, but sometimes you'll just die before you get to play it.
Fair enough. All right, Alex, what's the tiebreaker say?
I was at a B exactly as well. It's very powerful, but sometimes you just don't get to 7. Yeah, but I do like it a lot. I give it a B.
Sometimes you don't get to 7, but sometimes you get to 12.
It's on how you build the deck.
I know, I'm just kidding, messing with you. Oh man. All right. So B for Crackling Bauble. All right. Next up is Davia. John, which one's this one?
Davy.
All right. So Davy Azure Breaker is a 6/6 soldier mage for 7 double primal, Aegis and Voidbound. That's interesting, but we'll find out why here in a second. Pay 4 to stun an enemy unit. Of note, it doesn't say once per turn, so you can pay 8 and stun 2 units, or pay 12 and stun 3 units. Summon, play a spell from your void. It gets Voidbound. So this could be any spell. It could be a card draw spell. It could be a blueprint. It could be a removal spell. You name it. It could be a combat trick. So yeah, she's pretty strong. Alex, talk to us about Davy.
Well, Davia has a lot going on, and so this is a card that I would give a straight A to. By the time you get to 7 power, there is a spell you will want to copy in your deck. That ability she has is just ridiculous. You just win the game just because of that. So this is a bomb. I gave it an A. I can't wait to draft this card.
Yeah, I gave her an A as well. Like I find it very difficult to find a scenario where she is not a 3-for-1 because she has Aegis, so they have to break that and then kill her. And she plays a card the turn she comes in to replace herself. So I feel like she's automatic 3-for-1 in my opinion. So I gave her an A as well. John, anything to add?
I give her a B plus. I can come up to an A. It's cool, but I don't know. She's just kind of slow, right? 7 cost and all that, but yeah, very good.
I mean, the juice is worth the squeeze, though.
Yeah, compare it to the last card, right? I give that a B. I think this one's a little bit faster and a little, it's the unit, so it's a B plus for me. It's like,
yeah,
it's all 7 cost cards. I'd rather, I like going for powerful, cheaper cards whenever possible. But like, I would definitely play this anytime.
Yeah, fair enough. So we'll go A minus then, I guess. 2 A's and
A is fine, right? Like, that's right. Really the average, right?
Yeah, A for Davia. Okay, and that's Primal. Actually, this, at least in the rare slot, this has felt like a better position for Primal than we've seen in quite a bit. I feel like the last 2 sets we were like, one card was good and the rest was like, don't bother playing any of these. So shout out to Primal getting a bit of a buff here.
Good rares this time.
Yeah, no joke. All right, going into Shadow Sketch. We have gain Shadow Influence. Depleted unless you have played a sigil this game. Amplify 3. So another cheap one. Play Illicit Exchange. Illicit Exchange is a 3-cost relic. Once per turn, you may pay 3 to give you may pay 3 to give your units +1 this turn, +1 attack this turn. So it buffs all your units for 1. John, where are you at on Shadow Sketch?
Yeah, like I like the I like the 3 cost on these and this one and the other one, and like that means you're gonna have a good chance to get 2, and this is a decent one to stack, right? Like, I like this one a lot. I think it's a B plus though.
Yeah, I give this one a flat B. But like you meant, I like the fact that it's cheap, so you can activate it and do something else the same turn, or like you said, make multiples of them. So I think it's solid. Alex, where are you at?
Yeah, this one's a solid B. These are all so good.
Sweet. All right, Shadow Sketch, you get a B. John, I'll let you take this one because this one's pretty interesting. This is Relic Feaster. It is a 1/1 beast for 2 shadow. Amplify, sacrifice a relic to give Relic Feaster +2/+2 permanently. Entomb, play a Shadow Sea Slime with attack and health equal to Relic Feaster's attack. Take it away, John.
Yeah, this one's kind of weird, right? I guess it can do some stuff and things, if you build around it and get lucky with draw order in the game. But like, I don't know, the fail case of just 2 weak bodies for 2 is like kind of on rate at least, I guess. So I don't want to go low on this card or anything, but it's like with no synergy really, it's like a C. With some synergy, it's maybe like closer to a B. I don't know that I want to give it a build around. I don't know. This one's hard to rate.
Yeah, I gave it to you because I felt like it was the closest thing we have to consuming greed right now, and I can see a world where this has the potential for that to happen, right? But yeah, I'm with you. I give it a C plus.
Okay.
Which, it's a little awkward, a little bit, but there are some relics that have some things that you don't mind sacking to, etc. And I mean, paying 2 for 6/6 worth of stats across 2 bodies isn't too bad. It's not great, but it's not horrible, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously, if there's a world which I think is best case scenario, you sack 2 relics to it to get a 5/5 for 2, and then makes another 5/5 when it dies is pretty sweet. But that being said, it works with combat tricks, right? Entomb triggers when it's in the void, right? So it won't have or does it? I'm really not sure how that works. Would it work with something like a Scythe Slash?
Yeah, it should. Yeah,
So I mean, that makes it better, right? You swing with it as a 1/1. Your opponent's like, yeah, sure, whatever, block, make him have it, and then you Scythe Slash it, and you get a 5/5.
Well, a 5/1, right?
No, it's only no.
Oh, it's only 5/5. Okay, yeah.
Play a Shadow Sea Slime with attack and health equal to
man, this one's another one
Feaster's
that's
attack.
tripping me up. I'm gonna need to play with this one a little bit more. Yeah, that is a little. That makes it a little better. Yeah, that Entomb can go with
I think
just
it's
like Scythe Slash. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And then do we have Triumphant Return in the format right now? No, right? That was last format.
So.
Okay. Well, either way, I think it's a C. I'm at C plus with it. What do you think, Alex?
So I'm of the mindset that if I don't have any synergies in my deck, then I'm not putting this card in my deck. Generally. So which, I mean, like begrudgingly playable, I give it a D, but I think it's a really good build around card, like build around B plus even. But I don't know if I want to give it a build around grade. It's not a card I'm really looking to put in my deck right now, basically, but that could change.
Goes good with Warcry too.
Yeah. All right, so what do we want to give it, John?
I don't know. Let's go for like a C plus. That sounded good to me.
Okay. Are you all right coming up to C plus?
Yeah, it's like I mean, like that's like in between my 2 grades, so that's fine.
All right, C plus for Relic Feaster. It does require a little bit of work, but I mean, I could see a world where it has some upside. I mean, if you're Argentport or Stone Scar, where you have access to buff spells on this guy, feels pretty sweet. All right, next up is Twisted Farmer. This is a 1/3 rogue for 2 shadow. Ambush, which is interesting on 1/3, but you'll find out here in a minute. Amplify 1. That sounds sweet. Play a 1/1 Mandrake that dies at the end of your turn. Alex, why don't you talk to us about Twisted Farmer?
I think it's a cool little ambush unit, right? Because you can make a bunch of 1/1s and block. Can really kind of get your opponent. That being said, it's just kind of a really defensive guy. I gave him a C.
Okay, fair. I will say this. I think they didn't have to add the dies at the end of turn clause on those mandrakes. I think I would have been fine and this thing wouldn't have been broken, but I could be wrong. Like maybe
They
I don't know.
die at
John?
end of turn, then it goes up significantly for me. You know.
Yeah.
I don't
John,
know. I maybe I'm too high on this guy. Like I give him a B minus. Like I think you can. It's like a pretty solid removal spell for most if not all ground units, as long as they don't have Valor, I guess, right? And then it's like it's just kind of cool. Like I don't know. There's also like some reasons in the format to want to fill up your void with units, right? So I think there's some additional synergy possibly there. And then if you have like all your attackers have deadly kind of thing, like maybe you get a big attacking with a bunch of 1/1s before they die at least. I don't know. There's definitely some synergy for this in the format.
Yeah, I'm with you. I give it a B minus as well. I think there's easily a world where you make a bunch of 1/1s, block, kill some things that your opponent wasn't planning on it, chump block another big thing that you can't kill with all the 1/1s, and then you still get left behind with a 1/3. So I give it a B minus as well. So what'd you give it again, Alex? A C minus?
I just gave it a C.
A C? All right. So yeah, I guess C minus and then or C and 2 B minuses. So we'll go B minus. I think the flexibility of this card makes it go up for me in general. I think it's not too, I mean, once again, you have to have enough amplify, obviously, make enough 1/1s to be able to kill what you're looking for, but I think there's a world where you can make that happen most of the time. And at the very least, you make 3 chump blockers, chump block a bunch of things, and you have a unit to pay for it or to show for it. So
like it's like a wombo combo with this next card we're about to talk about.
Yeah, no joke. And actually, I'll let you take it, John. This is Waxing Moon. I actually got a chance to play with this card, and man, is it sweet and interesting. I like the gameplay this card creates on both sides of the board, to be honest with you. I may be upset or think differently after I lose a bunch of times to it, but I do think it's quite interesting. I'll talk about it in a second. This is, once again, Waxing Moon is a 4 double shadow relic. Your units have deadly. At the end of the enemy turn, transform Waxing Moon into Waning Moon. And Waning Moon reads, at the end, or at the start of your turn, draw a card and take 1 damage. At the end of the enemy turn, transform Waning Moon into Waxing Moon. So, long story short, at the end of your opponent, so every full turn cycle, so your turn and then your opponent's turn, it will switch to, either or, go back and forth. So one turn you'll get a card off of it, the next turn your units will have deadly, and so on and so forth. All right, John, talk about Waxing Moon for us.
Yeah, like I've got to play with this, I think, in one of my first drafts. Like this is like it's a very playable like do nothing relic, right? Like it's you mentioned it, and it enabled some interesting board states, and like it's like the way it changes up the dynamics every other turn. I found it to be really fun and kind of unique. So it has a lot going for it there, and I think it's also just like both effects are good, so that's cool too. And then the fact that it transforms every turn, there's actually some other synergies in the format for that even. And like if you get to live in magical Christmas land and have 2 of these and play them both out with off turns or whatever, where it's like waxing on every turn, that sounds pretty fun too. I don't know, that's Christmas land obviously, but no, I gave it a
God, what is happening to this podcast?
I don't know.
12
I got this in
power,
my first draft.
double rares. Jeez.
It's a sweet card, yeah. Like
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I had it in Xenon with a Behold the Truth. So it was, I say interesting because there was a turn where I could Behold the Truth, but they didn't have Deadly, so I actually had to wait till the following turn to do it. But then obviously we just talked about Deadly, and Overwhelm was really busted. So this card is really interesting. It makes attacks weird. I think it's a very interesting card. Alex?
Because of everything you guys said, I gave this card an A. It like helps you on the turns where it has Deadly, lets you attack through a bunch of stuff you normally would not be able to attack through, and then drawing an extra card. Who doesn't love that? I gave it an A.
What'd you give it again, John?
A B.
And I gave it a B as well. So let's go B plus then. B
Okay.
plus for Waxing Moon. Okay, next up, Zumic Poison is a +0/+0 weapon for 4 quadruple shadow, deadly. When the wielder hits the enemy player, they lose half of their life rounded up. I gave this card a D. I think it's too cheeky. Like paying 4 plus quadruple shadow just to give a unit deadly. I mean, and then it's never gonna kill your opponent, right? I mean, I guess it will if they're at 1. Cause it right? Yeah, I guess I give it a D. Like, I don't know, John?
Yeah, if it wasn't for the quadruple shadow, like if it was maybe double shadow, I think it would be way more reasonable to cast at least and maybe do something. So with its cost here and everything, I gave it a D as well.
Yeah, like best case scenario, right? You have a 1/1 flyer. You play your Glen Sapper or whatever, and then you put this on it. You swing. Your opponent goes from 25 to what? It's 14 rounded. Or wait, 25 half is 12 rounded up 13. So they go to 12, but then they go to 6, then they go to 3. Like, yeah, I think it's too. Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
I just gave it an F. It's just so hard to cast.
No, I mean, it's not nothing. But so I'm a little hard pressed to play to throw an F on it. So we'll go with D, but I agree. Just nah. Okay, next up, Ambitious Mandevilla.
Love this
Mantequilla.
Yeah, Mandevilla.
Mandevilla.
I was trying to exactly right. It's kind of weird. You can pronounce it like a couple of different ways.
It's just like a flower, right? You know?
Yeah. I mean, it's got Mandrake in it. I'm not sure where the Villa, I guess. Oh, well. Anyways, it's a 5/5 Mandrake for 5 double shadow, lifesteal, summon. You may, that's the important part, may kill an enemy unit. Then Ambitious Mandevilla gets minus attack, minus health, equal to that unit's attack and health. So if you play this card and you kill 3/3, then your Ambitious Mandevilla will now be a 2/2 lifesteal. If you kill, now it does say it doesn't, it could be more. So if they have, like, for example, the Populous Controller, right? The 6/6, you play this guy, it will kill the Populous Controller for sure. But then this guy will get -6/6, and then it will die as well. So, and then of course, once again, it says may, so you could easily play it and not kill anything as well. This card's great. I gave it an A. The flexibility on this card is just absolutely fantastic. And I like all the modes. I like the fact that you can just play a 5/5 lifesteal for 5, which is great. The fact that it can just be a removal spell for 5 when you need it to be is clutch. And then, you know, hey, if they got some kind of unit that's really awkward, like for example, let's say Valise, right? You can come into play, you can kill Valise, and you still get a 1/1 lifesteal left to chump block or to maybe get in with. And then any kind of recursion makes this card even better if you can get 2 kill spells out of it. So yeah, I like this card. I gave it an A. John?
Yeah, I like it a lot as well, but I just gave it a B plus. Just because, you know, if you are killing like a big thing, yeah, like 5 cost slow removal is basically all it is in that case, and that's like, you know, that's kind of medium or whatever for the rate. So, but I do love the flexibility a lot.
Okay. Alex?
I think 5 to remove anything is pretty good in a set that has a lot of like conditional removal. This is just like, oh, you need to get rid of that. This gets rid of that for you if you needed to get rid of that. A 5/5 lifesteal for 5 is just amazing. I gave it a straight A as well.
Okay.
Cool. Let's do
so A- for
Didn't you
Ambitious
give it an A,
Mandevilla. Yeah, but I'm good coming down a little bit.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. All right. Next up is Elding of the Final Hour. This is a 6/3 cultist for 5 double shadow stealth. And then if you have 2 shadow influence, when Elding goes to your void or hits the enemy player, you may sacrifice another unit or relic to play a random Pale Rider. And for those that are new to the game, Pale Riders are all 4/4s for 4 in shadow that have either deadly or flying or killer or lifesteal. Alex, what do you think of Elding of the Final Hour?
So, Elding of the Final Hour, the stats on the stealth is pretty good. It's gonna it could block pretty much anything and kill it, except for like 6/6 Valor or whatever. And then when it dies, you're gonna get a very good unit. 4/4 Flyer or 4/4 Killer. 4/4 Death Touch. Yeah, so it's kind of a removal spell, and then you get a pretty amazing unit that replaces it. So I gave this guy an A. I don't think in draft you're trying to discard it really, because you're losing a lot of value for the unit. It's a nice little bonus if something ends up discarding it, but don't go out of your way to try to discard it. I don't think. I gave it an A.
I concur on all parts. John?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I just gave it an A minus. I'm very close, but yeah, this is very good. And I agree, you should not generally be discarding this in draft. Even if you can. Just it's almost always way more value to just play it.
Sweet. All right. Elding of the Final Hour, you get an A minus. Next up, Subversion Slug is a 6/4 slug for 5 shadow. Stealth, ultimate. When the enemy plays a spell directly on Subversion Slug, reveal it to negate that spell, then steal it and play it from your void. John, what do you think of Subversion Slug?
Well, it's solid stats for a 5-drop. And I think there's a reasonable chance your opponent will give you some real value with this hidden effect. But it's not game winning or anything like that. I give it a B.
Okay, fair. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, that's the perfect grade. I think people are so happy to, or wanting to flip your stealth units with anything. So this is a nice little gotcha with that. But that's nothing amazing. So yeah, I'm at a B as well.
I'm going to give this guy a B plus because I think the fact that you have the potential of snagging a removal spell and using it back against them is pretty high, right? And them targeting this thing with a weapon feels pretty good as well with that 6 attack. So I'm going to go with the B plus for Slug. Are you guys good with that?
Sure. With the Jedi override, I'm down.
I mean, I gave it an A minus. So
okay.
you guys both went B, right?
Yeah, sorry. I thought I didn't hear you say that you give it an A minus. My bad. Yep, that's fine.
Okay, cool. I mean, it's at that point, we're kind of splitting hairs, honestly.
Get split.
Yep. All right. Next up is Fall to Ruin. This is a 6 triple shadow spell. Kill all units. If you have 12 or more units in your void, kill all enemy units instead. John, what do you think?
Yeah, board wipes tend to do pretty well in draft, since you can, usually sandbag some units to maximize value. And I think this one has the upside of being potentially one-sided. But the downside is that it costs 6, and you could just die before you cast it, right? If you keep a hand with this and not a lot else and just have to draw power, sometimes you just don't get there, whatever. I don't know, if you just build your deck and play your games out with this in mind, and you happen to draw it, it should do work. But I if your whole game plan is just drawing this in a draft, that can just be I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but probably a bad idea. But I still think this is a pretty good card. I give it a B plus.
Nice. Yep. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, board wipes are quite good for everything John just said. I'm also on a B plus.
Yep. I gave it a flat B because 6, but yeah, I'll go up to a B plus for Fall to Ruin. All right, Alex, tell us about Inciter of Madness, which is a 5/6 cultist for 7 double shadow. At the start of your turn, steal and ready an enemy unit that this turn with less attack. Sorry, what? At the start of your turn, steal and ready a random enemy unit this turn with less attack than Inciter of Madness. So, of course, it says less, so it has to be 4, 3, 2, 1, or 0, and it is random. But that's it. And then, of course, if you buff it with a weapon, then that goes up, etc., etc. What do you think, Alex?
So I think it's quite good. It's a little expensive. I think it's 7 for a 5/6. I think this is gonna be a 6 drop at some point in the future. But other than that, it's very good. Your opponent can kind of manipulate the 5/6. Not so much now with not a lot of decay or whatever things that can like affect the 5 and then basically make it not effective at all. But if you're stealing a unit every turn, it's quite good. So I gave it a B plus.
Okay. I think the grade on this guy, I gave her a straight B because the unit is random. There's a little bit of stipulations, but I think her grade is going to fluctuate based on if there's a sacrifice deck in the format or not. And right now there isn't, but when there is, I think she's going to go up in value. John?
Yeah, I do like her a lot. I'm right there with Alex at a B plus. It's just not an A range because 7 cost and all that, but like I think the effect is kind of insane. Yeah, it can, you can low roll it, but I don't know. I think even like there'll be some board states where you're only getting their dorkiest units and they have something bigger to block, but I think that's just unlucky in those cases. Like this just seems pretty dang good.
Yep. So B plus for Inciter of Madness. All right, that does it for Shadow. Shadow looks good too. Nothing that super stood out to us as a windmill slam, but a lot of fun cards. I think solid overall. You're not disappointed to be in Shadow.
Yeah.
Starts us off in our multi-faction cards, rounding off the home stretch here. We're starting off with another site. Malaga Amphitheater is a 3 Praxis site with 2 durability, with a static of when 1 or more of your units hits the enemy player, replenish power equal to Malaga Amphitheater's durability. And then Diogo's agenda is Mindfire, exhaust 2 enemy units, slow, double the cost of a card in the enemy hand, and Daring Maneuver, give a unit +2/+2 and overwhelm this turn. And then finally, the payoff being Diogo Malaga, which is the OG one. So it is a 3/5 for 4 with charge, and then ultimate 8 to give Diogo and each unit in your deck double damage and charge. So I think who took the last site? Was it Alex or was it John? It was you, Alex, right?
I think it was you, really, Jedi.
Oh, was it? All right, well, go ahead, John. What do you think of Malaga Amphitheater? Since apparently Alex is the late game guy this set review, you'll be our aggro player.
Yeah, like I don't know. I do think this can be a real card in your aggressive Praxis deck, like as a 3-cost Mindfire with upside, kind of, right? Like, just playing it on an empty board is much worse than most other sites, though. I think, like, so I give it the same grade as the other one, just a B. I don't know. It's just some solid value, and yeah, I mean, it's just cheaper. If it's just a cheaper Mindfire, like, and your deck would play that, I think you'd love to play this.
Okay, fair enough. Alex, where are you at on Malaga Amphitheater?
It's like kind of a puny with its durability, right? So I'm right there with John. I gave it a B.
Yeah, and I'm skeptical again. I think it's a win more card personally, but the aggro decks are gonna love it. I give it a D, and I could easily be wrong, so I'll just defer to you guys. You guys both went with Bs, right?
Yeah.
So we'll do a B minus just for my little check in the box. But yeah, I could easily be wrong. I mean, maybe I'm undervaluing these guys. Next up, Marshal Izia is a 2/2 soldier bird. See, this time they put the pet, right? Izzy is just riding the bird, but they put soldier bird and they didn't put bear in the other one. Their inconsistency is killing me. Anywho, it's a 2/2 for 6 double Praxis. What? Flying, okay. Summon, play 2 6/6 Sentinels. Yes. Entomb, kill all Sentinels. All of them. It kills the 2 you played. It kills any other ones on your side of the board. It kills any on the opponent's side of the board. So keep that in mind. Alex, what do you think of Marshal Izia?
So you get so much value if you get to 6 and play this little 2/2 flyer that you probably shouldn't attack with just willy-nilly afterwards, just for, because if you lose the 6/6 are what you mostly want to keep out there. And Yeah, if you can bounce it and play it again, you could make more 6/6s. That being said, it's still just a 2/2 flyer that if that dies, all of those big guys die. So I give it a B because of that.
Okay, fair enough. John?
Right there with you. Gave it a B as well. It's just like a very powerful but fragile card and effect. So, yeah, I like Alex said, you can bounce it. Like I just want to try and mitigate this Entomb here, right? Like probably don't want to play any other Sentinels in my deck if I can help it, unless they're just like really good, because that's like a big risk. Like if this can take out more of your board than just what it played, oof. That'd be like a nightmare, and it is a little hard to cast. So it was just a B for me.
Yeah. Yep. I give it a B as well. I will say this, like playing it, luckily it being 6 means there's a higher chance your opponent spent whatever that you could use to kill a 2-drop. And also if you know it's a liability, you could just be very aggressive with those 6/6s to try to trade them off early before Izia dies. So something to consider, but yeah, B for Marshall Izia. Next up, Overclocked Sentinel is a 3/5 Sentinel for 4 Rakano. When you play a relic, you and Overclocked Sentinel get double damage this turn. I put it at a C with upside. Like we've already talked about a couple times on this show about relics, and there's not like a ton. You're not jamming a bunch of relics in your deck. 3/5 with double damage is not nothing, but it's also not completely backbreaking, and we're not seeing a lot of overwhelm or spells to really like what we're seeing. Char is the biggest thing, right? And because you have to play a relic that turn, you're not spending some giant burn spell the same turn you're playing the relic or whatnot. So it's probably a C+. I'll go up to C+ for my grade on this guy. Alex, what do you think?
You talked yourself up to my grade. Congratulations. Just C+. I mean, a 3/5 for 4, that's just, very solid on its own. If you get a little bit of upside, C+.
John?
I just I'm very close at a B-. I just really like the stat line for 4, I think. And the upsides there. So
yeah, and you want to be playing Rakano as well, right? It's not a faction combination you're disappointed about, so fair. Sure. So C+ for Overclocked Sentinel. Next up is Pisto, Ever Churning. Gosh, I want this card to work so much.
Smile on his face is amazing.
Yeah, no joke. And he's got cannons. Pisto is a 6/6 Sentinel for 6 double Rakano. When the enemy player plays a spell, deal 3 damage to them. Could be a pump spell, could be a kill spell, bounce spell, draw a card spell, doesn't matter. If it's a spell, they're taking 3. At the end of your turn, if you have no cards in hand, draw 3 cards. That's it. He just has to be alive, and you have to have no cards in hand. Makes it a little awkward with combat tricks and removal spells, but I mean, man, when you're hellbent, you're doing some action. John, talk to us about Pisto.
I love Pisto. Like
Me too.
You guys mentioned the smile. Like I just love his abilities. Like I don't know, just something about this guy. Like you said, I just want him to work. But I mean, he's a 6/6 for 6. He's solid. He's a little hard to cast with the double red, double green. But he's like a little resilient to removal, right? Even if they just kill him, he gets a little value. And yeah, like hopefully he's the last card in your hand when you play him, and so you just immediately re-up as well with like the way you mentioned Eternal's rules earlier. It's like if in that case the opponent has no chance to respond, and you just get those 3 cards no matter what. So that's great. I love Pisto's name. Just Pisto. I mean, just everything about him is just cool. Like A-.
Yep. That's where I'm at as well. I think you definitely want to play this and draw 3 cards that same turn, and that makes you feel better about whatever happens. I mean, once again, we keep talking about it, but it's definitely a staple of the format. The Populous controller has a favorable matchup against Pisto, which is unfortunate, but at the same time, like replacing it. Yep. So I'm at A- as well. John, or correction, sorry, Alex. I almost went through the whole show. Shoot.
Yeah. So B+, it's just a little hard to cast. If you get there, it's great though. But I can easily go up to A-.
Yeah, we'll go A-. I think
I
double.
He's great.
I think double influences at 6 is doable. I mean, it'll shoot me in the foot once in a while, but yeah. So Pisto's fantastic. Sweet. A- for Pisto. Next up is Prowling Amaruk. Is a 2/2 Grenadin Wolf for 2 Skycrag. Summon, give Prowling Amaruk either Aegis, or Quick Draw. When you attack with exactly 2 units, Prowling Amaruk gets a +2 attack permanently. Alex, what do you think?
This is my kind of unit that I like in a Skycrag deck. It like if it attacks, if it's one of the 2 units attacking and you gave it Quick Draw, it's like that's really hard to block. So this thing can get out of hand really quick. But it's quite vulnerable still at just 2 health. So I'm at a B+.
Ooh, okay. Wow. What do you think, John?
Exact same grade. Don't have much else to add, right? Like I think the 2 health just keeps him out of bomb territory for me.
Wow. All right, man. I put him at a C+. I thought he was good, but not that good. So, all right, you guys both went B or B+. B pluses, right? Is that what you guys said?
It's like basically a 4/2 quick draw, like the turn you play it, and then the next turn he gets to attack, and he's like a 6/2 quick draw.
Fair. I mean, I just keep thinking of all the chars and the runes and blitz things that could kill him.
Though that can just win the game.
Yeah, no doubt. Fair. All right, so you guys both went B pluses, right?
Yeah.
So let's go with the B then, just because I'm dragging you guys down as usual.
Somebody's got to be the voice of reason around here.
It's normally not me.
It rotates.
All right, so Prowling Amaruk gets B. That's why there's 3 of us on this show. So Sanguine Reaper is next. This is a 3/3 Valkyrie for 4 Stone Scar. Flying, charge, quick draw. When Sanguine Reaper attacks, each player with a relic draws a card and takes 2 damage. So each player, so your opponent can draw off of you attacking with Reaper as well. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I like this card a lot. I mean, some games, it'll help your opponent draw into an answer or something for it, but like I think it's still a very efficient, evasive unit that I'm happy to play and prioritize, like probably being in Stone Scar or at least splashing one of the colors or whatever to play it. So it's a B+ for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right
all
there.
the same reasons. Go ahead, Alex.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't realize you were going to go right there. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I've got nothing. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward card. And John, I gave it a B-, but that's about it.
Yeah, I was at a B+ as well, just because that color combo synergizes pretty good with relics. So I do like it. B+.
All right, fair enough. So B, yeah, I'll come up. B+. B+ for Sanguine Reaper. I like Valkyries. It's probably my favorite tribal in the format. Stone Scar solid. All right. Next up is Tyrius Martial Master. Is a 3/3 Awakened Soldier for 3 Combray. Aegis Valor. When Tyrius hits the enemy player, create and draw a 1/1 Awaken with Valor. Pretty straightforward card. I gave her a B- as well. 3/3 for 3 with Aegis. With Valor helps. There are a lot of 4/4s in this format though, so she's not always going to get in there, but I mean, every time you make contact, she gives you a free unit that does something. I think that's okay. So she's not busted, but at the very ground level, 3/3 for 3 with Aegis and Valor seems solid. So B- for Tyrius from me. What do you think, Alex?
Just half a grade higher. B, solid B. 3/3. The Valor makes it be like just a little more valuable than just a regular 3/3. And the 1/1s with Aegis and Valor aren't nothing. They can add up, and that's a color combo that allows you to fight through a lot of the opponent's defenses. So yeah, I'm at a B.
Okay, and John.
Man, I just like this a little bit more at a B+. For I don't have anything to add really, so let's just even it out with a B.
Yep, fair enough. B for Tyrius Martial Master. All right, next up, Mandatory Retirement, lol. 2 Elysian spell. Transform an enemy unit or relic into a 2/1 fresh recruit. This is just about removal, right? A 2/1 is pretty it's not nothing, but it's about close to it as we can get, just about. So yeah, I think it's slow, but I feel like it's pretty efficient. And you're not doing this on 3/3, right? You're doing this on their bomb or the thing that you think is going to win them the game. So I think this is solid. So I gave it an A for just A- actually for like really efficient removal. but I could be wrong. It may be close to the B territory because it's not 100% removal. But that being said, it could even be better because of the fact that it transforms it, so they have no way of even recurring it. I don't know. What do you think, John?
I just gave it a B plus. Like, yeah, I think it's pretty dang good removal, and the fact that it hits relics too. But it's kind of annoying that it leaves the unit, but and it's also like double influence to cast, so it's like not necessarily something you can splash or anything. So it's pretty good though.
Alex?
Yeah, it's pretty unconditional, right? Turning
Mhm.
whatever it is into a 2/1, which is good for those colors. So yeah, I like it at a B plus as well.
Okay, fair enough. B plus for mandatory retirement. Entradius, right? Does that sound about right,
Sure.
John?
Yeah, I think so.
Entradius Beckoning is a 5/5 Mystic for 5 Elysian. Stealth. When Entradius hits the enemy player, you see 3 random other units with stealth and choose one to play. So it plays it. It's almost like Windvoke, except just with stealth units. But, I mean, you can get legendaries, you can get rares, you can get commons. And it's a 5/5 for 5 with stealth that it's a legendary, so your opponent's not going to be playing around it. Card seems really sweet to me. I have it a B plus because Windvoke reasons. John?
Yeah, it's definitely sweet. I just have a little higher at A minus. Like this is a solid unit. Like, and the fact that like it is very close to windvoking because you just get to like choose, and the chances of it, one of the things being a high rolly thing or at least perfectly situational, is pretty high. I've seen this guy in action a little bit, and somebody who had it in their draft told me it overperformed the whole way too. So I don't know. This guy seems very good.
All right, Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, personal bias from having this in a deck as well. It's like very reminiscent of Windvoking. And one of those units is gonna, like John said, is gonna do something like amazing when you flip it up the following turn or something. So yeah, I'm at an A minus.
Fair enough. All right. So yeah, I give it B. Sorry, A minus then. We'll go A minus for Entradius Beckoning. Yeah, I think the card's sweet. I wonder, do you think it has any constructive viability, John?
Little
I'm
bit.
kind of interested to play it.
Like this was one of the first cards like our teammate
Yeah.
Ash built around.
Mhm.
But like I don't remember if it was an expedition. I think it was. It's just like the support again is not quite there for. It's like it was the same kind of feeling when you tried to do the imbue deck in the last expedition. It's like it was very close to being very competitive, but it just didn't quite get there. But like I don't know. I'm not sure what the support is there yet. Maybe with some support from some campaigns.
Fair enough. All right, so A minus again for Entradius. Moving right along, we have Amar, Dark Summoner, is a 2/1 cultist mage for 2 Xenon. Your units cost 2 less. When you play another unit, the enemy player plays a -2/-1 curse on it. So I'm trying this card in Constructed because I think it's kind of neat and like it, but I think this card is garbage in Limited. So I give it an F. I think it's too high of a cost and too inconsistent, but not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze here. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I'm like trying to put scenarios together in my head where this could be okay, and it like involves 6 drops. And I don't really want to put -2/-1 on those either. So yeah, F, sure, F.
John?
This is a constructed card. F.
Yep. Yeah, because to build your deck around her means, and you're gonna do some things that makes your deck worse when you don't play her, and it's limited, so you only have one of her. So yeah, nope. Next up, Freeze Out is a 2 Huru fast spell. Negate enemy spell. The enemy player can't play spells this turn. John, you and I are big fans of counter spells. Where are you at on Freeze Out?
Yeah, like I don't know. It's pretty narrow, like, and it's Huru instead of like just Primal or something. So I think this is also kind of aimed at constructed, honestly. There are some powerful spells to counter in the format. But like I don't want to prioritize this in the draft really when you can just get a common in the draft packs that does the same thing and isn't so hard to cast. So I don't know, it's like a D minus for me.
Okay. Alex? You're muted.
Sorry, I was muted out there. The freeze out, counter spells, C-.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at on it as well. C-. Like John brings up a very good point that you can get one in common for sure. I think the enemy player can't play spells this turn is really just flavor text. I think most of the time the one thing you're countering is the one thing they had planned to do that turn.
Yeah, it's
but I guess it does give you a little bit of a safety net if you're countering some slow spell removal and they could have power up for a fast spell or whatever, but then they just don't attack that turn. So yeah, I think a C- is fine. Like, you're not super disappointed about having this in your deck, but it's not like fantastic, right? You're kind of basing on your opponent having a spell that you want to counter, but it's kind of the thing with all counter spells. Next up, a life for a life. For Argenport spell, sacrifice a unit to play another unit from your void and give it void bound. This card is one of those cards that's based on the quality of your deck, but anytime you can cash in a 2-drop for your 5 or 6-drop, I think is solid. So I give it a B-. I don't think you need much. Like, you just want to have a normal deck, right? And then you play this, and it's kind of like any kind of recursion, but it's somewhat better because it puts it directly into play, so you kind of get a discount versus a lot of the recursion we see in limited. You have to get the unit back, and then the following turn you play it. I don't know. I don't think it's completely busted, but I don't think it's horrible either. And B- maybe. My thing is that, like, you don't have to really build around it. You just have to have a 5 or 6 or 7 drop or a rare that you want to play more than once, and then a 2-drop or a 3-drop that is not doing anything for you. I wish it was fast speed, but then that would be pretty broken. So I could see why it's slow. What do you think, John?
Like, I feel like this is just too hard to make it be consistently good in average draft games. So I give it a C-. I don't know. Like, I think it's probably good, but not great on average.
Okay. What do you think, Alex?
I'm like, it's it takes some work to make it work, to make it worth your while, but you can easily get good value out of it. So I like it at a C+.
Okay. I guess I'm even on a C+, but my thing is I really don't think there's a cost to having this card. I mean, it is a card that you're spending, right? But I don't, like, once again, if you have a 2-drop that is useless and you lost a 6-drop or a 7-drop or a 5-drop, right? 6-drop is probably the best example because, once again, I keep going back to the 6/6 for 6, but you're sacrificing the 2-drop plus 4 to get back your 6-drop. So you're breaking even on it. So I don't know, but I'm good with that. I'm good with C+.
I just keep imagining these board states, right, where it's like, this card is so bad for me. It's like, I kept having to trade my, like, 2 and 3 drops, and that's like all I've drawn so far this game, and I'm just getting run over. And then it's like, I have this card in my hand. It's like, what does this do for me? Like literally nothing.
Yeah.
Ugh. So I mean, it has a huge fail case, right?
Fair. And I keep thinking about it with time cards, which it's Argenport, so that makes it awkward. So I'm thinking it'd be great with the 1/1 that gives the top unit of your deck killer, right? Yeah. So you use it for ramp, and then later on when it kind of outsources itself, you can sack that. No, I get it. Yeah, for sure.
I would so much rather just have like an Immortalize or like a Triumphant Return. I feel like that's just more consistent.
Well, yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not going to make that argument, but we don't have those in the format right now, so.
Yeah, but I don't, just because those aren't there doesn't mean I want to prioritize playing this effect. I don't know. I think there's too much downside for me personally.
Well, either way, we're all on C's on it anyway, so I mean, it's not like you're windmill slamming that in any scenario anyways. All right, next up is Death's Doorstep. This is a relic for 5 Argenport. At the start of each player's turn, they must sacrifice a unit. If they can't, sacrifice Death's Doorstep. F. John?
Yeah, this just seems so bad, right? Like, is the world's slowest board wipe while you're going to turn 5 do nothing? Like, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. F.
Yeah. Alex?
You guys said it.
Yeah. Like, Argenport is not known for having a ton of cards that make more than 1 unit, so you can't even like get ahead on this, so whatever. Yeah, F, easy F. Let's move right along. Voltage Generator is a 1/1 Grenadin for 1 Feln Berserk. When Voltage Generator attacks, increase the damage of the top spell of your deck by 1. It's a 1/1 for 1 that's hard to cast, and you can't control the card that's on the top of your deck or when you draw it. So I gave it an F. Alex?
What's that, like D- for very corner casey, like spell matters decks, whatever. But yeah, F. Let's do it.
John?
Yeah, let's just give it an F. Like I ended up never playing that 1/1 Berserk colorless that plundered last format, and that's so much better than this, right?
Right? Yeah, I don't ever want to have
way better in so many ways.
So much better. F.
All right, next up, Sindar the Corruptor is a 1/4 cultist for 5 Feln, Deadly, Valor, and Stealth. When Sindar hits the enemy player, play a Sindar's Mark on them. Sindar's Mark is a 5 cost, I'm assuming curse. When a player has 3 Sindar marks on them, they die. That's all flavor text as far as I'm concerned. So a 1/4 stealth, deadly, valor for 5. I give her a C-, and that's probably too good. But an X4 doesn't die to everything. See, and I don't even know because it's the 5 cost stealth. So I feel like your opponent's gonna give you a little more credit. So even the whole deadly or the 4 health may not be because they're, I don't know. Like, I don't know. What do you think, John?
Magical Christmas Land, the card. I don't know. This is so weird. Like, I just gave it like a C. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a 1/4 deadly will do a decent job of going up the board. So I think that's why I gave her a C-. But Valor on a 1/4, like, they just don't block. They're like, all right, I'll take 1, and then kill it or double block it or.
Well, like, they can only.
Yeah.
I'll take 1.
Yeah, you're right. Fair. So I guess there's that. Yeah.
And then they start.
They
have to start throwing stuff in front of it. Like, I mean,
so
it's playable.
And then there's no way to ping in Feln, right? There's no way to make her ping in Feln. It's only in Fire. So you can't even kind of like sneak in an extra damage and they're expecting it.
There's ways to give unblockable and draft in these colors and give evasion and things like that. Like, you can definitely make this do stuff.
Yeah, I feel like she's just gonna die before that. Like, worst case, they just trade, right? They just, all right, here's my 5 or whatever.
They need at least a 5 something.
But you paid 5, so it's not that big of a deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Alex?
I think that this is a begrudgingly playable card. D+.
Okay, so we'll go with C- because I think, would you give it, Alex or John, a C+?
I said C, and then Alex said D+.
C-, yeah, and then C- for me. So we'll go with C- for Sindar. All right, last card, our only factionless card of the format is Undercover Enforcer. Is a 2/3 soldier for 3 factionless, stealth, ultimate, pay 1, discard a card, and reveal Undercover Enforcer for play Disrupt. That's it. Do 12 things to play a generic begrudgingly playable. Disrupt is a 3-cost slow spell, kill an enemy relic, or silence an enemy unit, which we've talked about several times before. Right now, there's a couple of relics at legendary and rare that we think are worth killing, but nothing at common that stands out to me off the top of my head. And then silencing a unit sometimes is removal, so there's that. I just gave it a straight C, like generic C. I don't know if anyone has anything to add, John.
I don't really, like, yeah, it's all just very medium.
Alex? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I give it a C as well.
Yeah. Alex?
Yeah. C-, but sure. I guess we're going up to a C. It's all good.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine, and it is upside. It's not nothing, so it is upside. All right. Well, that did it, guys. Holy cow. I think this one's going to be, it's definitely under 4. I don't think it's under 3. Actually, I'm almost positive it's under 3, but not by much. But sweet, that's it. It's interesting. I like the fact that there's a bunch of rares that we have no idea what the grade is. So that's kind of cool, right? That the one time you get to play it, you have an excuse to, because it's not automatically broken and we get to try some things. So I think that's exciting. Overall, I think they did a decent job. I like the fact that they upgraded Primal. It's no longer like just don't play this. Justice is busted, and overall, I enjoyed it. Any closing statements, Alex?
No.
Sweet. Good talk. John?
Yeah, like I hope to report back with hopefully I get to play with some of these unknowns and figure them out and let y'all know what's up.
Fair enough. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Hope this evaluation helps you make better decisions when it comes to rares and legendaries. And of course, you're more than welcome to give us feedback and either live on Twitch or on Discord or however you'd like, because obviously we're all trying to play with these rares and legendaries that we don't get to do very often. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, as always, happy gaming.
Bye.
It's been a pleasure.